Now, we stopped here last time. We almost completed this slide, and we were doing about payment collection, how a payment can be done for international trade by way of documented collection. Just to recap briefly, I told you two other methods. One was advance payment and the other one was open account. You know, advance payment, the buyer sends the money and the seller ships the goods. Open account, the seller sends the goods and then gets the money. So there are risk for both sides. Where in advance payment, the buyer might send the money and not get the goods. Okay, in open account, the seller sends the goods and he might not get the money. So, as a matter of compromise somewhat, we came to the third payment method, which is documented collection. Now, having said what documented collection is, basically the difference in the documented collection is, in the open account, the seller will ship the goods direct to the buyer and also send the required documents, like I said, like the BL, which will help him to get the position of the goods from the port, from the captain of the ship, then the invoice for the customs to decide what is the value of the goods, and also to see whether the goods are coming from a permitted country, that is a certificate of origin. We'll just keep to those three documents for the moment. Right. Now, in open account, what will happen? The seller will send the goods, send those three documents to the buyer, and then buyer will go and directly collect the goods from the port, and maybe he'll not send the money to the exporter. So that's the risk you're taking. Now, in documented collection, what happened was, like I told you, I'm just recollecting fast, okay? What happens is, the seller will ship the goods, and then what he does, he sends the bill of lading, I'll call it hereafter as the BL, the invoice and the certificate of origin to the importer's bank through his bank, the remitting bank, and then to the collecting bank, right? Collecting bank will tell the importer, will say the buyer, Perra and Sons or whatever, Perra and Company, and tell Perra, Mr. Perra, come and take the documents we got for $100,000 from your supplier from, we say, China, Hong Kong or something, Chinese toys. You have to pay $100,000 and take the BL and the certificate of origin and the invoice, so that with these three documents, the importer can go to the port and clear it. Unlike the open account, he doesn't get the document direct from the seller. Seller will ship the goods, goods will come to Colombo in the ship, but he can't go and clear it. Why? Because the seller has sent the documents through his bankers to the importer's bank and told the importer's bank, don't give the documents to the buyer without collecting $100,000, right? So, in this case, unlike open account where the importer goes and clears the goods and doesn't pay the money, that will not happen because the importer cannot get the documents without paying the money. So, he'll come to the bank, pay the $100,000, and then he will go. Then the bank will give him the documents. BL will say BL plus the other two documents, and then money will go from the importer's bank to the exporter's bank to the exporter. Now, in this case, an importer gets the BL and the CEO and the invoice, and he clears the goods. So here it looks somewhat okay, like, because exporter is getting his money, importer is getting documents. Unlike advance payment, he sends the money, no documents. Then in open account, he sends the documents, no money. So this arrangement seems to be somewhat okay, like, for them, right? But there are shortcomings in this. Now also, if you remember, I told you that if the seller says don't give the documents to the buyer without paying, then that is known as DP site, right? DP, documents against payment. Okay, that we call documents against payment. He has to pay, then get the document. If you recollect, I told you also, after a period of time, when the seller and the buyer are quite more understanding, it can be a DA term. They might do it on DA terms. What is DA terms? When the documents come to the importer's bank, usually on DP, the importer has to pay and take the documents. But in this case, what happens is the seller is willing to give the buyer, or the exporter is willing to give the buyer or the importer a period of time to pay, like a credit term. Okay, say 90 days, or we say 90 days, for example. So here in this case, the importer's bank will give the documents to the importer, the BAL, the certificate of origin, and the invoice for him to go and clear the goods. But will take a undertaking from the importer saying that he will pay the money after 90 days. Maybe undertaking by way of a letter, or sometimes there will be a bill of exchange, right? I will not delve into exactly what bill of exchange, because I said the basic banking, you already know that. So it depends. Sometimes due to the financial cost and stamp duty, all that, some countries don't advocate bill of exchange. They tell letter of undertaking is good enough. So whatever document, it doesn't matter, right? So if it is DA, the importer will come and sign, give a letter of undertaking to pay, or sign the BL. On the BL, he'll make endorsement. I will pay such a date, such amount to so and so. So the bill of exchange will be sent from the seller with the documents, and that is like a bill of exchange. I told you, is another financial instrument where if he dishonors bill of exchange, he can be sued under bill of exchange ordinance. Right now, so the key point in that DA is, right, now after 90 days, if the importer or the buyer does not come and pay the money to the bank, okay, the bank, either the importer's bank, of course, you know that it's exporter's bank, or did nothing but it's in documents. Importer's bank or the exporter's bank, right, is not obliged to pay the exporter the money that was owing from the importer. No obligation from the importer's bank or the exporter's bank to the exporter for non-payment of a bill by the importer under DA basis. Document again acceptance. Document, he has accepted the documents and to pay. That's what is called DA. DP means he pays direct. So that is just two types of collections, no. But basic thing is, whether it is DP, say DP documents come and he's informed he doesn't pay. Of course, if he doesn't pay under DP, he won't get the BL, certificate of origin, and the invoice to go and clear the goods. Right? So those three documents will be with the bank. Importer will go back and tell, I called and told him $100,000. There's a bill. He says he doesn't want it. Right? So the BL and the invoice and the origin are held with us. What to do? But remember, in open account, risk is higher. You would have sent everything to the importer, ship the goods, and send the BL, send the certificate of origin, invoice, and you could have easily gone and cleared and just kept quiet. But in this case, it's not that. He can't get possession of the goods. But because, why is that? Because the importer's bank is having the BL and the certificate of origin. Then I told you, then if he doesn't take the goods, then all his effort. Now see, when I'm going to do document credits, this understanding is very important. In this scenario of, we'll say, DP, DA is just a small change. Now, when last time when the lights went off, right, the system went off. So if there is something like that, you must call Menaka and tell him. After about 10 minutes, you all told me. You all told him and he called me. I saw a flicker in my lights. So I hope you all are online. Yes. If it's not so, please call Menaka immediately and tell him, then he'll call me. So if ever the system goes up, don't wait 10-15 minutes, but just immediately call. Right? So right. Now in this case, what happened is, assume now DA, DP are two types, no, but we can't talk about document against payment. Now he signed the contract, okay, sales contract, there's a normal paper, they sign. What he did was, now remember this, I'm going to do document credits, so I want you to get this picture very clear. He got an order, he bought the raw materials, he manufactured, he had a place, maybe a warehouse to manufacture the goods, then loaded onto the trucks, paid the hire for the lorries, took it to the port, then loaded it on the ship, got the BL, right, and paid the ship, but whatever, like I told you, the freight charges, carriage from here to, from say, Hong Kong to Sri Lanka, he paid that also, then got the BL, okay, and then he did all that, then sent the BL, setting origin and the invoice through his banker to him. Now all that is already spent now, he already spent everything, right? But when it comes here, importer says he doesn't want the document, right? He doesn't want the BL and the. Now see what happened. Now the goods have come with a ship has now sailed and come to Colombo. Now he manufactured, spent everything, shipped it. Who the seller, the exporter, did all that and shipped the goods. Now goods are not in Hong Kong. Goods have come to Colombo, right? And here what has happened? He sent the documents here. Now the Mr. Perra, the chairman of Perra and Company says, no, I don't want the BL and the invoice and the security. Now what happens? So if he will not pay $100,000 to, if he will not pay $100,000 to the bank will not be able to send the money to the exporter. Right? I told collection, no obligation only by the bank, only if it pays, only if the importer pays, that the importer's bank will send the money. Now goods have come to Colombo, he has sent the documents, right? And now the buyer says, I don't want the goods. Okay. Now see the situation. We thought not like open account, better than open account. He can't take the goods. I'll send it through the bank. And he sent it through the bank. Oh, I will not be. I am a smart guy. I will not allow him to take the clear the goods and not pay the money. I will send the documents to the bank, importer's bank. He'll have to pay and take. Why will he have to pay and take? Why will he have to pay and take? Because if he wants the toys, maybe for the Christmas somewhere October, if he wants to sell toys in the market and get the profit, he has to get the toys that were shipped. So if he wants to get the toys, he must get the BL and the invoice and the origin. So to get that, he has to pay. But what if he, by the time he does all he had changed his business from toys, now he's selling cars, right? Of course, now is not the correct time to sell cars anyway, right? We say just assume vehicles. And he has changed his attitude. He says, no, I will not deal in doors. Now see, the doors have come. Now, if he refuses to pay and take the BL and take the invoice and the documents, I mean, what happens to the exporter? All that effort he took to get the raw material, manufacture the goods, ship it, send the documents to the bank, all that effort he took. But expecting that the importer will pay the money and take the document. But what happened? Importer said, no, I don't need the goods. Now see, is the exporter secured? No. All that effort he did is wasted. And also, when the goods come to Colombo, it's in the port, and you know that if you don't clear the goods in the port, right? What will happen is they will incur demurrage. Demurrage means every day you don't clear, you have to pay cost to the port. Now, port also will estimate and see these toys are worth $100,000, right? We'll say $5,000 for a day. The demurrage just example, and not so much. So now 5,000, 20 days they keep, then it becomes 100,000. They may, if the goods are 100,000, they may be able to sell the 100,000 and take it. So port can recover the monies. Because why? Now demurrage is 100,000, nobody is paying it. Now if they keep for the 21st day, then demurrage accruing 105. What the auction, what the customs will do is they will auction this much before that. They won't wait so long. When they find nobody is paying it, they will auction it. Right? They will auction the goods. and collect the money. Right? Now, if he doesn't pay and the goods are in the port, option the seller has is he can get back the goods back to Hong Kong. Now that's a tedious process, right? He is in Hong Kong. This is Sri Lankan port rules. He is from there. He won't know what is happening. So it will be a big loss for him too. And the cost to ship it back, right? And the goods have been in the port for such a long time. Don't know what the condition of the goods are. So it will be a loss to him. So sometimes what it does, I told you, the case of need. I did for, can you remember, case of need. He has put in his instructions through the exporter's bank. He has told the importer's bank, in the event, now this can happen, right? In the event, if he has some doubt, in the event the importer is not willing to take the goods and pay for it, please inform my agent. Name is, we'll say, Fernando and Company. He has put instruction. Tell Fernando and Company that there is a consignment I sent to Fernando Company which is not accepted. Right? Now, if the instructions are that, then the bank will inform Fernando Company the consignment that has come from Mr. Ching from Sri Lanka to to Fernando Company has not been taken, and Mr. Ching has instructed us to inform you. But just inform and do what? Just give him advice? No. Then Mr. Ching has to tell, if Mr. Pereira does not take the goods, or Pereira Company does not take the goods, contact Mr. Fernando and specifically tell what Mr. Fernando has to do. Just inform me, no point, no. What do you want Mr. Fernando to do? So you must clearly spell it out to the bank. Tell Mr. Fernando that to look for a buyer, maybe he'll say one, and I say, tell Mr. Fernando to look for a buyer, right? To look for a buyer, and maybe if it's $100,000, tell him to find a buyer whom he is allowed to give 10% discount. That means he's telling, the seller is telling, tell Fernando to look for a buyer for $90,000, right? Or maybe even 50% discount, $50,000. Or maybe he'll tell, release the goods to Fernando and tell him to sell it and send the money, whatever. So whatever Mr. Ching, the exporter, wants Mr. Fernando to do, it must be clearly stated. If he's putting a agent's name as the case of need, in a case of need, the exporter must clearly say what the case of need is supposed to do, right? So then what will happen is he'll inform case of need. Then case of need, the bank say, here, look here, Mr. Fernando, I got this, your name has been put as the case of need because the parent company has not taken the goods. And Mr. Ching says, since the parent company has not taken the goods, for you to find a buyer with a 25% discount. Maybe let's assume. So please find a buyer for $75,000 income and suppose you. Now see all this hassle, right? What is happening? He is losing. Sometimes maybe Fernando will not be able to find a buyer. He might say, okay, there's only a person will give $10,000, right? Okay. Then what happens? He loses 90,000. Now, can you see in this, the crux of what I'm trying to tell you is, first I was trying to explain to you what case of need is, that is part of it. The crux of the matter here is that even though in this system of payment method, still the exporter is not secured of the payment. He is not sure. He knows the importer can't take the documents, but then if he doesn't take the documents in the bank, importer will not pay. Documents are here, goods are in Sri Lanka, he doesn't have the goods. Documents are in Colombo, the goods are in Colombo, all his effort is lost. So in this payment method also, the exporter's assurance of getting payment is in doubt. Unlike open account, obviously, open account has completely given the documents to the importer, so importer can pay the goods. But maybe not to that extent. The importer can't get possession of the goods, but still there's a risk. Finally, he may not get the money. The auction, nobody comes with, they may auction the goods, and he can get lost. So you can see that there is a flaw in the ability for the exporter to get his money. Can you see that, right? Right. Now that is that part. Then I'll go to the next part I did, right? Now on the DA part. I told you, DA is where the exporter is giving the importer certain amount of credit. Now this is a very important feature which is not difficult to understand, and I'll put it very simply to you all to see what is this documentary credit, the one that I'm going to do next, right? A very important part it plays. Now in the DA, what does DA happen? The documents come to the bank. Instead of paying money, parent company will give a letter of undertaking or sign a bill of exchange, and then gets the document. After, we say the arrangement is 90 days. After 90 days, what will happen? He will say importer doesn't have money. Then what will the bank do? The bank will say, look here, my friend, you don't have money. I have to inform the exporter that you don't have money. So he'll inform the exporter. So the exporter bank. Exporter, Mr. Ching, your friend Pereira, he doesn't have money in the account. Now it is 90 days past, and we ask for the money, he says no money. If a DA document is not paid by the importer's bank is not obliged, neither is the exporter's bank obliged to pay the exporter. Get this very clear. So then what will happen is the bank now they took a letter of undertaking now from the importer and releasing the documents. What they will do is they will take that letter of undertaking or bill of exchange and send it to the exporter and tell the exporter, we are closing our files. Now the matter is between you and the importer. You want to take bill of exchange action, you want to take letter of undertaking the default, and they are not done whatever action you want to take, you are not dishonored, you can do between you and the importer. Nothing to do with us. Right. But sometimes what happens, the exporter is not willing to at once give him DA cleanly, only on his undertaking. So what happens is, the exporter says, right, you want DA, you want trade terms, right, no problem. But you see, if I give and you don't pay, there's nothing I can do about it. I'll try to help you some way. I'll give you the documents on a DA basis. 90 days is example, 90 days DA, 90 days documents is exempt. I'll give it to you. But now 90 days you don't pay, what happens? I won't get the money, no. Your bank won't pay. You do one thing, he's telling the importer. Once I send the documents to you against 90 days DA and you accept the bill of exchange, right, or letter on take what you give, tell the bank to also join with you, right, or counter what you're saying, and tell basically that in the bank, the importer's bank, to tell that if the importer does not pay on the due date after 90 days of accepting documents, say the due date is 90 days on the date of he takes the documents, then the importer bank is guaranteeing payment to the exporter, right? Guaranteeing payment to the exporter. Understand? This is what happens. Now, this is not a complete DA where the exporter solely depends on the funds on the importer, but he is giving DA terms to the importer, provided importer's bank assures the exporter that if the importer does not pay on the due date, right, that the bank will pay the exporter. Now here the importer's bank is giving an undertaking to the exporter. In addition to the undertaking of payment by way of bill of exchange or letter given by the importer. In addition, what the importer is saying, the importer's bank is also giving an undertaking. Can you see? So now, in the DA, if he says DA, okay, and that process of where the bank guarantees the payment of a DA bill to an exporter is known as avalization. The bank is avalizing the bill. Okay. Now, understand on the credit point of view, you have heard of LC limit, import loan limit, maybe, right? Current account limit, overdraft limit, packing rate, all this you heard. But there may be customers who are dealing this way. The DA comes and then goes to the bank guarantees, and he takes the documents on the due date. He'll come and pay the money. They'll pay. But in the event that the importer does not pay the money, the bank has to pay. So until such time, the importer's bank is carrying a liability. If he pays, okay, that bill is okay, that's finished. But if the importer does not pay, then the importer's bank has to pay. Now, that means the customer comes to you and says, I am dealing with a customer on a document collection DA basis, right? But DA though, he wants you to give a guarantee that if I don't pay on the due date, you will pay. So basically, he is asking for a avalization facility. Maybe there will be so many bills coming in, getting paid, so you can estimate his working capital cycle, the credit period, right? All that you can estimate, and then you will set up a avalization limit for the customer. So today maybe one buy might come with DA bill, okay, 100,000 tomorrow. Now that 100,000 bill is due, today is June, is due in July, August, September, right? So there is 100,000. Then another bill might come day after 50,000. Okay. So then, not day after, say in July a bill comes, right? Then July, August, September, October. So like that, you can have so many buyers, so many exporters he's dealing with who are giving this facility. So you must estimate and see what is the level, highest level that his exposure will be at any one time, and maybe to how many buyers. Then you can how many exporters, and then you can set up a suitable limit. Because if you set up $100,000 today, and tomorrow he has another bill for $50,000 from another exporter, then his limit is not enough, right? They have to get another 25,000. Now he has 125,000. You have given him a limit of 100,000. It's not enough, because that 100,000 limit you give today, if it is 90 days, will get paid only in July, August, September. But if there's a bill, say on July 1st, how will you do it? Till that other 100,000 outstanding. So that 100,000 limit is not enough for you. Okay, that is not enough. So what you do is, you will wait. You will see how the trend is and calculate a suitable avalization limit. So avalization is a facility, right? What is this facility? It is where the bank is guaranteeing a DA bill under collection. Where the bank is guaranteeing DA bill under collection. Now, for example, if I ask you, if the customer deals in DA bills, right? Now, this is where the key part of the difference between a documented collection and a documented credit comes in, right? This is a very key part, right? And it's good for you to exactly identify what is the key part in a documented collection and a documented credit. I'll explain. It's very simple to understand, right? All are doing so much in banks, so this is a very simple thing to understand. The key part is, now see, you say DA, okay? It came to him, bank guaranteed, and he took the documents and he So what is the risk to the exporter? What is the risk to the exporter? You feel there is no risk. The bank is going to pay, right? If the importer doesn't have money on the due date, the bank will pay. So what's the big deal? What's the issue about it? Right. I will tell you what the issue is. Now, understand this part of the transaction, then you will know what the document of credit is. Now I told you key ingredients and sales contract, all that blah blah. Okay, he bought his raw material, made a house, all them going back to the whole same thing, manufactured, did everything, put it in his trucks and took it to the port and loaded in Hong Kong port, and then Hong Kong port came to Colombo, goods came to Colombo. Now DA, now it's coming 90 days DA. It comes here. Now you're confident. This is avalization. Bank has guaranteed, and I will get the payment. Right? So you are thinking bank. Now, what is the bank guaranteeing? That is what is most important for you to understand. What is the bank guaranteeing? Guaranteeing saying that this importer, thing is, since it's online, I can't know whether they are really picking it up. But anyway, I'll make it very simple. If we now here send this documents on a realization basis, right? 300,000 come in. Now he's happy. Bank is guaranteeing and getting payment. What is this bank guarantee meaning of realization? That is very important for you to understand. What does it mean by avalize? What it means by avalize? I know you're going to ask me. Now just now you told me just now that if the importer does not pay, the bank will pay. So what I ask you again, what is the meaning of the bank avalize? No. I know you are getting confused. He repeated 100 times saying that if the importer does not pay, the bank will pay, bank is guaranteeing. And now again he's coming back and asking us, what is the bank realization? I know you're thinking like that, right? But I'll see the crux of the matter. Now, these are the crux of the matter. Now the DA has come. $100,000 document come. When a bank says they will avalize, exporter must understand the word avalization very well. Otherwise, he's in trouble. What the bank is really telling is, right? What the bank really telling is, the bank says, if you send a set of DA documents to a customer on a DA arrangement, right? And the customer comes to the bank, right? Comes to the bank and takes the documents and signs. And if the importer signs of an undertaking on a bill of exchange saying that I will pay in 90 days, or by way of a letter, if he gives a letter, if he signs a bill of exchange, that is the main part, the if. If he signs a bill of exchange, if he signs a letter of undertaking and takes the documents from us and we give it to him, he goes and clears the goods, and after 90 days, right? After 90 days, if the importer does not honor the bill or does not pay the bill, for example, then we will pay. Who is saying this? The importer bank. Now, the exporter must exactly understand what is the bank, importer's bank saying. If the importer accepts a bill of exchange and takes the documents, or if he gives a letter of undertaking that he will pay on the due date 90 days and takes the documents, and on that due date, if the importer does not have funds or does not pay the bill, we guarantee will pay. Right? That isn't that word if, right? Right. Now I was wondering, what is this guy emphasizing on the if? What is he talking, right? So you are wondering what is this, right? See, if the DA documents comes here and the bank informs, the bank, importer's bank, is informing parent company, there is $100,000 toys documents BL come for you, right? On a DA basis, 90 days, on the condition of amortization, where we have to guarantee payment to the exporter. We have to guarantee the exporter what? That if importer comes to the bank and signs a bill of exchange or gives undertaking on the bill of exchange that he will pay, or gives a letter that he will pay after 90 days, and if it is not paid after 90 days, the bank has to pay. So we'll assume that the bank is very happy with the customer and they are willing to give that, take the risk and make a facility whatever way, right? But what is the risk? Now, for example, if the, can you remember what I told you about the DP site? If the documents comes to the bank for $100,000 and the importer says he doesn't want the documents, I don't want the shipment, I don't want the dolls, I don't want, right? If he tells that to the bank, okay, the bank says, come, you come and don't worry, you don't have to pay. This is DA. We are not asking you cash. Your exporter is such a good guy, he has given you a DA document basis. He's like, pay 90 days later. Right? And it's avalized. And we have to, we are guaranteeing payment also, right? Come and take. Importer says, yeah, I know, I understand. I know, I don't have to pay money. I don't have to pay till 90 days. Right? Now, if I come and take that documents, then I have to give you a letter of undertaking saying that I will pay. Or if the exporter sends a bill of exchange with the document, I have to sign this bill of exchange saying that undertaking to pay. Then I oblige to pay. So I am telling you, I am not taking the BL, I am not taking the invoice, I am not taking the origin. So if I am not taking the BL, right, from your, we said as a document, I not the three. If I don't take the import exchange to the bank, if I don't take the document from your bank, I can't go to the port and clear the goods. His goods are there in the port. I'm not taking his goods. So I am not taking that. Even though he has sent the documents on a DA basis, I am not taking it. So if I am not taking the DA documents that have come from the bank, I don't have to give undertaking. Neither do I have to sign on the bill of exchange that he has sent. Because he is not taking the goods, he doesn't want the goods. Therefore, he will not take the documents. Since he is not taking the documents, he will not sign a letter of undertaking or countersign on a bill of exchange saying that he accepted to pay. Now, this is avalization, right? Now, what is the bank's position? Now, avalization, so is the bank guaranteeing? Now, if I go back again, you might be getting tired of me using the word if. What did the bank tell the exporter? He told the exporter, if the importer gives a letter of undertaking to pay or signs a bill of exchange that he will pay, and if he doesn't pay, then we guarantee. Now, if the importer does not take the goods and does not take the documents, right? Okay. Will he sign a bill of exchange? Will he sign a letter on taking? right? There's no importer will do that now. Sign the bill of exchange and sign the undertaking just without taking the goods, right? It could happen. So, if the importer does not sign the bill of exchange or does not sign letter of undertaking, then what is the position of the bank in evaluation? Can the bank evaluate and tell the exporter will guarantee? Because he has not given an undertaking letter, because he has not countersigned on a bill of exchange, how can the bank go and tell the exporter, look here, if the customer does not honor his undertaking or honor the bill of exchange is signed, we will pay. Because there is no undertaking given by him. He did not sign a bill of exchange. He did not sign a letter, give a letter of undertaking. So if he has not given those, that means there is no undertaking by him to pay. No, there is no undertaking by him to pay. So if there is no undertaking by him to pay, then how can the bank guarantee? What is the bank going to guarantee? In an evaluation, the importer's bank is only guaranteeing that if the importer gives an undertaking to pay, or if the importer signs a bill of exchange, right, on 90-day basis, or whatever, 90 days, then that undertaking we guarantee. So in this case, he has not come and given undertaking. He has not come and given a bill of, signed a bill of exchange. He has not taken documents. So can the bank evaluate? Exporter will come back and say, look here, evaluation, you have to pay. He said, no, how? The importer's bank will say, look here, my friend, you send the goods, you send the DA documents to us, right? And we told you that we will evaluate. What did we evaluate? If the importer takes the documents, basically takes the goods, that is right, taking the goods. If it takes the goods and gives us an undertaking to pay on a due date, right? And if he does not pay, then we guarantee. Now, my dear friend exporter, what can we guarantee? He did not sign an undertaking. He did not sign a bill of exchange. So what are we guaranteeing? So remember, there is no obligation on the importer's bank to the exporter because there is no dishonoring by him. No dishonoring by the importer. What does he dishonored? If dishonored means he undertook to pay and did not pay. Now, did he undertake to pay? So can there, if he has not undertaken to pay, can there be a dishonoring? So if there is no undertaking to pay, what is the bank going to guarantee? Then nothing the bank can guarantee. Bank is guaranteeing that if he dishonors an undertaking, the bank will pay. Now, my friends, my point is, now do you see? This is like same like a DP site where the documents come to the bank and the importer says he doesn't want to take the documents. He doesn't want the goods. So he won't come and give the money. Right? Similar to that. Then exporter loses. Here also in the DA, even though it is evaluated, evaluation can take, the bank can give an undertaking only if the importer undertakes to pay. So if the importer undertakes to pay, what he will do is he will give the undertaking, take the document, take the goods. Now he is not taking the goods. Therefore, he is not taking the documents. Since he is not taking the documents, he won't give an undertaking. So since he is not giving an undertaking, there is nothing for the importer's bank to guarantee. So importer bank cannot evaluate the bill because there is no bill, there is no undertaking. What to evaluate? Now, in this scenario, very clearly, I hope you understood. You can see the exporter, even though under evaluation, the exporter runs a risk where the documents come here, even though the bank says they can evaluate, if the importer does not take the goods and does not give an undertaking, then the importer's bank can't do anything. They cannot do any evaluation. So evaluation again is not a full guarantee of payment to the exporter. Side bill again, Those documents are here is not an assurance of exporter because importer may not come and take the documents. So if he won't come and take the documents, he won't take the goods and he won't pay. If there's evaluation, he may, if he doesn't come and take the documents, he won't give an undertaking, he won't take the documents, he won't take the goods. So if he doesn't give an undertaking, what is the undertaking that the bank can guarantee? Bank can guarantee the undertaking given by the importer. No? So he has not given any undertaking. Therefore, the bank cannot guarantee anything to the exporter. Right? You see, even under evaluation, there is a risk to the exporter. Right? Now you know what is evaluation, you know what is the risk, and you know evaluation is a facility exposure where you may have to structure facilities if a customer requires it under evaluation. Right? Is that clear? Okay. Now remember this when I am going to do document credit. Apart a little more on the collections, we will just go through this slide. I put some important you can these slides you can read and understand, but I'll tell you. Now the uniform rules, I said the ICC has rules for these document credit and for collection. This is what you call collection. Uniform rules of collection, you call URC 522. When banks are getting involved, so you see ICC, these are rules. These are just information. Here. There are 995 and there are 26 articles in the uniform. Okay, right? This is not so much. Then just for you who are the parties to an collection, the principal, that is who is the party interest, this is the exporter, right? Then the remitting bank, that is the exporter's bank. Okay. Then the collecting bank, this is a bank, importer's bank, which collects the money from the importer. Presenting bank, right, which is the credit. Normally, the collecting bank and the presenting bank both are the same, right? Both are the same. Sometimes, for example, say if Standard Chartered Singapore might send a Standard Chartered Colombo the documents, right? Then Standard Chartered Colombo might send the documents to commercial bank because the customer is in commercial bank. Then commercial bank will be like the presenting bank, and so normally banks send it to the bank with the customer as the account, right? So collecting bank and presenting bank are generally the same. Then drawee. Drawee is a person. Now I told you, drawee is a person to whom the money is due. From whom the money is due. That is the person whom the has to pay. Now, say example, bill of exchange. I don't want to go detail on a bill of exchange. In a bill of exchange, the exporter will say who has to pay, right? Who has to pay the bill. You see, drawn on bill of exchange, drawn on whom? Drawn on whom means who has to pay, right? So normally the drawee will be the importer, right? That's not so much. Just theoretical for you to understand. Then what is? Now here this is, I'll tell you very basically. You can read and understand. It's very simple. What they are saying is, when a bank, when an exporter hands over documents to an exporting bank, right? Exporter's bank, when they are sending the BL, I'm just saying 3 documents, BL and the invoice and the certificate of origin to the importer's bank, they must have a covering schedule which says exactly what is the importer's bank got to do with that set of documents, right? And it will say all handling of documents will be according to the fight. I told you, so that when arbitration comes, they can say, okay, we'll go by 522 rules. So we say, so what they will do now, importer's bank will not go through everything else, right? They'll only go by instructions given from the exporter's bank. What is to be done? What the importer bank has to do should carry a covering schedule for the documents saying what are the expected instructions that has to be carried out by the importer's bank. Right? Then, now this is called I just tell you what this is. Now I told you BL, can you remember? I told you BL is a title document. Okay. Now, collection bank is only like a post office, no. Now, when the exporter exports and takes the BL in the name, sometimes exporter feels, my God, I'll not make the BL in the name of the importer. I'll put it in his bank's name. Then bank becomes part of the transaction, right? Then he'll put the goods should be released to the bank, right? Then what happens? Then the bank, you think a person in the bank is going to stay in the port and collect the goods. So in general, we said banks deal only documents, right? So therefore, it is a practice that banks, exporters, when they export, they should not take out the BL in the name of the importer's bank, right? Which should not be dispatched, right? The interest of the importer's bank, because unless the bank will not, importer's bank does not get involved in this. Of course, for certain different reasons, if the exporter wants that, then what the export bank will do is he'll contact the importer's bank. He'll clear, my customer is doing an export. He doesn't want to put the importer's name as a title holder for the BL. He wants to put your bank, so that when I send it to your bank, you can endorse and give to him. So do you mind it? So you can do that, but if you are doing that, you must do it only with the consent of the importer's bank. You should not arbitrarily just consign it to the importer's bank. Importer's bank, if you send it like that, importer's bank will return it to you. Saying, no, we are not willing to be a party, please. And then you know what happens, no? If the importer's bank say, no, we don't want, we can't handle it, and return it, then what happens? By the time goods would have come to Sri Lanka, and by the time the documents go back, and that guy orders the BL and sends it, it would have been demurrage, and maybe goods would have been auctioned also. But you can't blame the importer's bank. So importer's bank, you can't consign, or well, consign means give the title, right? The BL, the name to whom it should be given. Consign means the person who has the right to take the goods. You can't consign the documents, the BL, to a bank unless you got the consent. That is what this article means. Okay. Then case of need, I told you about it. You see, it says no, if the principal nominates a representative to act as case of need in the event of non-payment of honor, instructions should be clearly and fully indicate the powers of such case of need. It should say what the case of need should do. Can you see that? In the absence of such indication, banks will not accept any instructions from the case of need. So, it will only go by the what the exporter's bank has told about the powers of the case of need as told in the schedule sent by the exporter's bank. They will not listen to, if the exporter's bank says, tell him to give 50% discount or 25% discount, a case of need come and come, no, you are, that is originally they sent you 50%. I mean, I spoke to him today. He said 25%, okay, if I bring a buy for 25% of the value of the goods, it's okay to release. No. Banks will not follow his instructions. Banks will not follow the instructions given by the case of need. Only will go by the instructions and the duties shown by the schedule, what the case of need has to do, as mentioned by the exporter's bank. Right? That is that. Let's do what is the next time. So, I told you, payment undertaken given by bank, respect of bill of exchange, drawn by a way of giving security to the drawer on top of it. The bill stamped with the word amortized and signed by the technical side of it. But I given you the crux of what is amortization. Okay. By doing so, they are confirming the payment will be made at maturity. But what they tell you? This is right. See, here you can see a joining in the external action. So if the importer does not sign a bill, how can what to join? Nothing to join. Right? Joining, only if the importer says he will pay, the bank is joining with him and saying, yes, if the importer pay, I am guaranteeing. So if he doesn't sign up, if he says, I don't want the goods, and does not sign a bill of exchange, nothing to join. Singly, the bank, importer's bank can't just give a guarantee. The importer's bank is give a guarantee, and that means if the importer's bank wants to give a guarantee, that means maybe the importer's bank is a subsidiary which is selling toys. What they'll do is they'll take the toys, sell it, and take it, and give the money. What happened, you know that, right? So you see the word joining. By that you understand, only if the importer signs, gives the undertaking, that the bank can join in, right? Okay, now what is the evaluation? Now we are going to see document. Now I told you remember the evaluation very well, right? Okay, good. Now let us see. What is why I was so much why was I so much emphasizing on this evaluation, right? Right, let us see. Now now we are going to document the credits. Okay. This will be a bit of a detailed subject, more details. Just 1 minute. Right. Now, this is another method. Okay. Now you see there are 4 methods listed. One is advance payment, open account, collection, and document credit. Now, if somebody asks you, is the document credit method the best way of making payment international trade? What will be your answer? Is it the best method? Right? So you will be saying, he has not told us what a document credit is, and he is asking us whether it is the best method. What is he trying to get at? Maybe you'll give a basic answer, but it's not the correct answer. You might write and say, according to the tube that we have got, there are 4 payment methods. One is advance payment, one is open account, and then document collection, and there is document credits. So since there is each payment term came, why did advance payment? Why just think of open account after that? Because we thought that there are shortcomings in the advance payment, is not fully secured. Therefore, they did open account. Open account, they found that there's something, no, it's not satisfying both of them. There's something wrong in that. And then what they did the document collection, right? Then going on the document collection, they found there's something short in that. No, I told you what is short just now. Okay, I said, there's something wrong in that term, right? Both are not happy. That is why document credit has come. Now, document credit, is it the best method? So you might give a simple answer, say, yes, definitely best method, because there is no other method after document credit in the tube. If document credit was not good, then there would have been another method down. Since there are no other methods, and it ends up with document credit, that must be the best method. Now, you might give answer like that, but that's not the answer, right? Logically thinking, you might say, yeah, advance is not good. Okay, you got open account, open is not good. You got document collection, document credit is not good. Now you got document credit, and I don't see anything after that. So document credit must be the best. And you answer like that. You can't give an answer like that. Okay, I just was telling, just to have some break. I made that statement. Right now we go to documented credits. Don't get confused by the definition. It's English, but words put here and there. Once I explain to you what document credit is, you'll find out how simple it is. Okay. Documented credit is an undertaking given by a bank, issuing bank, right? Usually importer's bank, to the seller, right? Now, undertaking benefit. Undertaking is giving to somebody, no undertaking. Now, that undertaking is given by a bank, issuing bank means the importer's bank, to the seller, the exporter. So, who benefits? The exporter or seller benefits. Therefore, in the document credit terms, we call him the beneficiary. Right? We call him the beneficiary. The seller, exporter, beneficiary, all same. Right? At the request and on the instructions of the buyer. Right? Now, who is asking to give an undertaking to the exporter? The buyer. Right? So, therefore, he is only applying to the bank and telling the bank, please give undertaking to the exporter. Right? So, since he is applying to the bank to tell the bank to give an undertaking to the exporter, the buyer is also known as the applicant. Okay. What is the undertaking they are giving? What is this undertaking, so-called undertaking that the bank is giving the exporter on the instruction of the importer? It is saying the undertaking is undertaking given by a bank to pay. See here, to pay at site, right? Can you remember DP site? Yeah, right. Or at a determinable future date, right? See, DA, can you remember DA? Not immediately, but later. Either if they do a DP site, DP way they're doing, then to pay at site, undertaking given by the and determined future date means it may be the DA bill. So normally in LC we call it a nuisance, right? Nuisance. That's bad DA usually called, but in normally is a nuisance. A determinable future date, a stated sum of money, or the amount of the bill, right? Against complying presentation with document condition. Now, what happens here is complying presentation means the bank will say what is happening here really is, right? The importer's bank, we say import export, they agree advance payment useless, open account, no buyer, exporter, no, you will take the goods required, then collection. Then again, exporter says, what is this mean? Collection, what is use? You will, if the goods come, you say, don't want, then I'm lost. They say, no, we'll do evaluation. They say, what is you evaluation? I still send the goods to you. You're saying evaluation. I will send the goods to you and you say, don't want. I don't want the goods. Evaluation, right? But then how is the bank guarantee? No, you are saying, don't want to. So you are not giving undertaking. So then the bank also will not give me the no evaluation. That also I am at risk. So we can't do this, right? So what we'll do is, we'll work in document credit. Okay. Now here, the bank gives the exporter undertaking before doing anything, before the seller could even think of manufacturing, right? Without think of manufacturing, even not think of even seeing where to get the raw materials, nothing. You say the exporter is just seated in his veranda and his bank informs him, look here, there is an undertaking given by a bank. That bank is the importer's bank, telling that you ship him $100,000 worth of toys, right? The bank, imported bank says, if you ship him $1,000 worth of toys, then the imported bank is guaranteeing payment to you, right? Now see the difference. In collection, he manufactured, did all that blah blah, and then only waited for after and sent the goods to Sri Lanka and gave the BL, all that he did, and then only waited for the money. Then only when it came to the importer's bank, he realized, oh, this guy is not paying the money, right? He realized he's not paying the money. But here, before he does anything, before exporter does anything, right? The importer's bank is openly telling him, look here, Mr. Ching, you better ship $100,000 worth of toys to our customer and company, and the moment you do that, we will pay you $100,000. So now he has got the assurance. See, it's more secured. Already the bank has guaranteed the payment. If he ships goods, if he ships $100,000, the bank has already guaranteed the payment. Right? You can see that now. So, see how secure the exporter is. Now, when the importer's bank says, ship the goods to my custom right, company, the bank must know whether he has done it. So what? Does the bank from Sri Lanka send somebody to Hong Kong and tell him to wait at the port? Say the exporter says, yes, I am manufacturing time, I'm taking about 1 month, and then by July 5th, I should be able to ship the toys to Sri Lanka. Right? That means ship the toys means I should be able to put it on the board of the ship, put it onto the ship, right? Patavanda pulluvan, right? Mata July පාවෙන් කොට patavanda pulluvan නැවට goods ටික. හරිද? Right. එතකොට does the bank in Sri Lanka එක්කෙනෙක් යවනවාද හොංකොං වලට? July 5. Go and port එකේ බලාගෙන ඉන්න whether මේ goods ටික පටවනවාද කියලා. Whether the exporter is putting the goods on the ship July 5 කිව්වා බලාගෙන ඉන්නවද? අපේ ලංකාවේ බැංකුවේ කියමු People's Bank කියලා. People's Bank එකේ ගිහලා අතන බලාගෙන ඉන්න හොංකොං වල. No. You know, I'll tell you later, it doesn't happen like that. So what the bank does is, okay, the bank will want evidence in by way of documents that he has done the job, that he has done the shipment, right? Even when the importer comes to the bank, right, and tells his bank, look here, please give undertaking to my exporter that if he ships $100,000 worth of dolls to me, that you will pay him the money. Then the bank will tell, okay, Mr. Pereira, we will give the undertaking. Right? But remember, you are telling me to pay him $100,000 only when he ships the dolls. Now, dolls ship කරාද නැද්ද කියලා අපේ කෙනෙක් කියන්නේ හොංකොං වලට. බලන්න පැටවල නැද්ද කියලා. හරිද? ඒ වගේම අපේ කෙනෙක් කොළඹ උඹරාවෙත් ඉන්නේ. අපි කලම පොට් එකකට කෙනෙක් යවන්නේ මේ when the ship comes to Hong Kong, he never body dinner the baran. Dolls dinner the baran. Oh man, for the bank, People's Bank will not go to the port and see, their ship is coming from Hong Kong, right? Whatever I say, MV Express, not sorry, this is thinking. This say something, right? ABC ship name is coming to come to the port and go and ask the captain. Captain, me, Mr. Pereira coming at the dolls for $100,000 $100,000. No, we don't do that. Bank will not go. So we tell the importer, the bank will tell the importer, look here, importer, api guarantee දෙනවා to the exporter. හැබැයි එයා perform කරාද කරන්න කියපු දේ එයා did he perform, right? කියන එක අපි physically ගිහලා බලන්නේ. We will only go to the extent of ascertaining එයා වැඩි කරාද නැද්ද කියලා අපි ascertain කරන්නේ documents වලින් විතරයි. Documented credit method payment එකේ bank will deal only in documents. හරිද? දැන් බැරි වෙලාවක්වත් dolls කියලා ship එක ඇවිල්ලා යා port එක ගිහලා බලලා marbles තිබ්බනම් bank is not responsible. We will ask them. So what the bank does is, the performance of the exporter is ascertained only documentally විතරයි බලලා කියන්නේ exporter කරන්න ඕනේ වැඩේ කරලාද නැද්ද කියලා. Physically ගිහලා bank deal කරන්නේ නැහැ. Banks deal only in documents. ඒක නිසා, so if the exporter has done the job or not, right? ඒක හොයාගන්නේ bank will consider that the exporter has done his job only when he gives the now we have sent the undertaking, please ship some goods to $100,000 worth of toys to our importer, Mr. Pereira, and to prove that you have done this. මේ වචන නේ තියෙන්නේ LC හරිද? document මේ අනිකම කියන්නේ document credit කියලා සමහර කට්ටිය කියනවා. සමහර some people say letter of credit. සමහර කියනවා DC කියනවා. සමහර කට්ටිය LC කියනවා. So දෙකම එකයි. Yeah, so in my presentation I might mix up DC LC කියවත් එකයි DC කියවත් එකයි LC කියවත් එකයි letter of credit කියවත් එකයි document credit කියවත් එකයි, right? So it might mix up. So don't get confused, just take it as one thing. So in the undertaking that is given to the exporter, right? The importer's bank will say, in order to that you have done what is required, that is me $100,000 worth dollars ship කරාද නැද්ද කියලා කියන වැඩේ කරා අපි ගෙවන්න ඉස්සර අපි දැනගන්න එපා වැඩේ කරාද කියලා. For that, what we will do is we want you to send us the BL. ship කරාම කැප්ටන් දෙනවනේ මම කියවනේ BL document එක. හරිද? BL එක අපිට එවන්න ඕනේ. invoice එක එවන්න ඕනේ අපි කීයක් ගෙවන්න ඕනේ කියලා. කියනවා හරිද? දැන් සමහර විට sometimes don't confuse yourself, please. Don't get confused by what I'm going to say. Thank you $100,000 කියලා toys තියෙන්නේ. හරිද? එතකොට සමහර විට ඩොලර්ස් 25000කට විතර බෝනික්ව හදලා ඉවරයි by the time of 5th of July. දැන් මෙයාට time දීලා දිනවා till end of August ship කරන්න. He can send the whole thing till end of August. So suppose he has done about $25,000 worth of dollars by 5th of July, he might ship that. තව දවසක තව 35. So එකපාරට යවන්නේ. So ඒක නිසා so if you are saying $25,000 වඩා ඒතර අපිට BL එකයි වාට ගෙවන්න තියෙන ගාණයි ඒ කියන්නේ invoice එකයි certificate of origin ගෙවන්න. I'm talking about these three documents at the moment, right? I'm not going to other documents, just to explain to you. So send us these three documents. By sending these three documents, the importer's bank understands that he has done the required job. මේක තමයි evidence එක. BL එකයි invoice එකයි සෙමිනියන් බැංකුවට යවපුවාම import එකේ බැංකුවට යවුවම then දන්නවා right මෙයා වැඩි කරලා තියෙන්නේ අපි මෙයාට ගෙවන්න ඕනේ. Right? So bank, the performance of the exporter, right? Whatever the conditions. So conditions තමයි කියන්නේ. හරිද? අර document conditions and කියන්නේ conditions and එතකොට compliant කියන්නේ ඉල්ලපු දේ ටික ඔක්කොම ගානට දීලා දෙන්න. Don't worry about the details, right? ඒගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ BL එක ඉල්ලනවා invoice එක ඉල්ලනවා certificate of origin. So that compliant presentation. ඒ document conditions කියන්නේ හරිද? ship කරාම අපිට BL එක කොපියක් mail එකේ යවන්න ඕනේ. Documents යවන්න ඕනේ mail දෙක. ඔක්කොම conditions හරිද? The presentation කියන්නේ whatever document required that are presented. So no, you don't have to worry about this, but just get the basic point, right? So now, so if the bank receives, importer's bank receives the invoice, BL and the origin and shows that okay, he has done the job, then amount of invoice, amount of dollars, you say one shipment, okay, invoice is $100,000. ඒකට අදාළ කිව්ව ඩොලර් 1යි කියලා මේ බුඩි කෙක් හරියද $1 1 වගේ BL එක වෙනවා BL කියයි මොකද ship කරලා තියෙන්නේ මේකේ ship කරලා තියෙනවා ඩොලර් මේ $100,000 හරි ඒක හරි so it done so they have bank account හරිද හැබැයි ඩොලර් මේ බැංකුවේ ship කරලා තියෙන ඩොලර්ස් මොකද කියලා the importers bank බලන්න යන්නේ හරිද අනික මේ port එකේ කොළඹට ආවට පස්සේ exporter ගෙවන්න නැතුව ඉන්න ගිහලා port එකේ ගිහලා බලලා මේ කො හැරලා බලන්න පෙට්ටිය බලන්න අප්පෝ මේක බෝඩිකෝ නෙවෙයි මේක මාබල් ඉදින්නේ ඒව බෑ if the document bank will importer කියනවා බලන්න වාගේ අපි මේ undertaking එක දෙන්නේ exporter ට against the documents හරි ඉතින් documents එකේ ආඩේ තිබ්බනම් අපි ගෙවුවා වාගේ කෙනා පස්සේ මාබල් තිබ්බා කියලා අපිට නවත්තන්න බෑ. We will not do. So on that kind, the moment we find documents are compliant, අපි වාගේ account එකේ සල්ලි ගන්න. හරිද? facility mark karna moka kare. What is it? That is what you call document credit. Now you just see that document credit. Okay. What is happening here? Now I'll go through this, right? Now make number one koi tiyenne. Main number one is sales kari competence sales kari kan. Main import. Import enawa apply karan LC kada. Import is bank, issuing bank. Yara. Ada number two. First contract, second. Ani apni dende ko LC please give LC $100,000 to my exporter. Give a undertaking to him. Issue an LC or DC කියන්නේ exporter undertaking a denda මට $100,000 dollar ship කරන්න මට ගෙවනවා. හරිද? exporter ගෙවනවා. Right? And ඒ කරාද නැද්ද කියලා importer කියලා අපි ගිහලා port එකේ බලන්නේ අපි ඉල්ලනවා BL එක. Invoice එකේ ගෙවනවා. Right? Then what happens is that communication, undertaking communication will go to the exporters bank. Now, I won't go detailed about exporters bank arrangement. Assume that all these two banks have good arrangement, right? This is People's Bank and this is Standard Chartered Hong Kong or something. So they are okay. Yes, they are. Right. Or HSBC Hong Kong. Now, exporters bank is HSBC Hong Kong. Right. Now, so method dapuama HSBC Hong Kong will inform. Will inform the number two, number three. How the exporters bank in Hong Kong, HSBC will inform the exporter that LC or letter of credit or LC or DC has been issued by the importers bank. Which means, because you know why? You need this to go through a bank. Then exporter just heated. Now the importers bank puts up in the mail, undertaking a card of the exporter. Now when the exporter postman comes and says, when the new undertaking from People's Bank Colombo. Now how can the exporter know that this is genuine? He doesn't know about People's Bank, he doesn't know who the manager is, he doesn't know who the signing people are, they don't know about anything about Swift messages, nothing, right? So that is why the importers bank, People's Bank will say, will send the LC to HSBC Hong Kong, right? And HSBC Hong Kong will inform the exporter, right? When the exporter gets a message from HSBC Hong Kong that People's Bank has sent him an LC, right? HSBC Hong Kong takes the responsibility to tell the exporter that this LC is a genuine LC from People's Bank. We guarantee that this LC came from People's Bank. The authenticity is HSBC is taking responsibility. Very well, if the HSBC says, don't worry, People's Bank has sent this to you, they are given a guarantee to you, and the exporter performs, ships the goods, and then sends the documents to the People's Bank, and if People's Bank says, no, what is this? What are you sending us? I never issued an LC like this. In our records, we don't have. If that has been found to be, it can be forgery, and all that, right? If if the HSBC, right, had without knowingly informed the exporter, not knowing that this was not a genuine LC, by the juggler in the Swift or mail or whatever, then this bank, we call this bank who advises the exporter, called the advising bank, HSBC responsible. So the responsibility of the advising bank is very essential, that to absolutely check properly whether the document that came from People's Bank is an authentic one or not, right? So now you have Swift messages and all that. But don't worry about all that. So only if the HSBC informs the exporter, then exporter assumes that the HSBC has checked up whether it is genuinely coming from People's Bank and is an authenticated message, right? So that is the part of the advising bank where it has to ensure that what they tell the exporter is authentic. Now, once he has said that, right, once he got that, that was number 4. The exporter will ship the goods, number 5. This is number 5. Okay. Number 5. Now, exporter has shipped the goods. Right? And what he does is, right, once he has shipped the goods, he will take the documents and come and give to the exporter's bank. Okay? Exporter's bank. Now, number 6 is here. Right? Number 6. Now, you see number 7 going up here again. This part, let us keep for the moment. Don't worry about this. Just assume that this did not happen. Number 7 did not happen. I'll explain to you what the document is negotiation later. Number for the moment. Just forget that this didn't happen. Then form 6, document presented, and here documents 7 we are leaving it out. Then documents are going to the issuing bank. Right. Number 8. Okay. Now, the moment the issuing bank gets the documents, once issuing bank got the BL, got the invoice, got the revenue, and they see that the exporter has done his part. According to the documents, porting on porting and people make in Hong Kong and in London and in Germany and the whole import export department in people around the world. Right? So they will check the documents, and we told the importer. When they told the importer, me look here, apita hammuno documents peenawa nam meya harita wede karala tiyena kiyala we are paying. Ekane karte peenawa nam we are paying. No chance. Kiyano. Balani inne. Elima kiwa. So a document BL ekai invoice ekai peenawa nam megala hondai harika tiyena kerenawa nam. Harida. You can, what the bank will do, then bank will go and see his account, target importer account. Right? The importer account is salary netta. Collection ke mukadme inni. Collection importer, if there is no money in the importer's account, the bank will say, oh sorry, side documents say, $100,000 QA per account is salary ne. Correct. Now in this one, that cannot happen. If the bank checks, People's Bank checks the customer's account and find that there is no money, right? And find that there is no money, okay, the bank cannot refuse the payment to the exporter. They have to send the money, right? They have to send the money. Okay, to the exporter through the bank. Yeah, the money goes and then he gets the payment. Now, why they don't show the payment? He got it here. This is the reason. I hope it was we don't have open class. I cannot see the faces to see whether you are following it or confused or I'm going high. But I'm going very slow. It's very simple. What he does normally, LC wala, normally, he submits documents here. Make documents to send the documents to People's Bank. They think called 5 days check-in, make 5 days, make 5 days. All that don't technically. Over the Palak, only end of People's Bank. Palak can go with those Palak. Can I matter only on Venda Mitanta May documents gila, I check karla, make check karla. Before I told checking status, so make not check karla. So they have about 5 account usually they have period of 5 days or make 5 days, 5 working days, 5 weeks. Okuma karla. In the matter, Sally Amin order. Over the Sisak. So what the exporter says is, now see, we kind of the People's Bank, number one bank of me, wow, Matami, you send the documents to People's Bank. Kamakne, Habe, Sally Humbenakam, Mata is Sally advance Karnal. So sometimes what HSBC does is, they will, once he submits documents to HSBC, and they check the documents and find that the documents are generally in order. Okay, no problem. What is it? If the non thing sure done, no, then People's Bank, you have to have me at the house is a kingdom, matter of shipment techinator, Anita shipment, the house is a raw material gun at the Balangino, make a salina. He has to continue other shipments day. So he wants the money urgently. So what the HSBC does is, they will advance the money to him before they get the money from People's Bank. Before they get the money from People's Bank, they will advance the money. Of course, the interest rate for that period, 20 days, the interest rate, they'll pay the money. So this is the number 7. Documents do not pass, say, right? After giving the documents to the bank, HSBC, this may happen. HSBC might pay him before getting the money from People's Bank. But it takes about 20 days, but so for him, it is better to have the money the next day, immediate or the same day he gives, then he can start production on the next one. He can buy raw material, he can continue his business, right? Understand? So then, that's what happens. So if this does not happen, then when the proceeds come, the bank will pay the money to the exporter once in the money. Sometimes exporters, if they are quite cash rich, they have got enough money. When they submit documents, they'll say, no, please don't pay the money now. Because in 20 days time, we anticipate the dollar to go up. And therefore, in 20 days time, I might get more rupees. Right? So, don't kill or Hong Kong dollars, whatever. Right? That does it. So, not all exporters want the money immediately. It depends. Sometimes they don't want, sometimes they want, right? Then they say, no point if I discount, I have enough money. I have to pay interest for the 20 days. Why? Just leave it. Let it go and come. I have enough money. So it depends what the exporters need is. But this also may happen. Exporter may ask for the money, right? As I said, I'll tell you this later. So the money comes, and then if this has not happened, negotiation has not taken place, the bank will pay the money to the exporter, right? So this is how, now see in this scenario compared to collection, exporter before he could start anything even, right? He was given the undertaking by the importer's bank. That's good, no? That is good, right? Right? Before doing anything, he got an assurance. So with the assurance in hand only, he started the job of buying the raw materials, all that. Whereas in collection, he has to wait, do everything, and wait till it comes to the importer's bank to decide, to think, for the importer to decide whether to take it or not. And if the importer does not take, he doesn't get the money, and there is no obligation between the importer's bank to pay the exporter. No obligation. It's only between these two. But in an LC, right, even if the importer has no money, the bank has to make the payment to the exporter. This is a different arrangement. That is, having money, no money, has got nothing to the exporter. That is between the importer and the bank. The bank opened the LC, issued the LC to the exporter, and when the goods come, there is no money, nothing to do with the exporter. Exporter is not worried about that. It's between them. If the bank has not taken any security, then you have to ask him security, and then you take a mortgage, then if you take a cash margin, or sometimes banks take margins, say, if the 100,000, the bank says, no, I can't, I have to buy. If the exporter says, okay, I have to pay. And if I pay the 100,000 and your account doesn't have money, I can't take a risk of $100,000. Okay, you give first for me to give the undertaking, you deposit $50,000. The balance $50,000, I will take the risk on you. The importing bank might say on that. That is our arrangement between these two, nothing to do with it. So since I told you, now what is happening? Even though they are doing a import-export business, the performance of the exporter, right, is based on not the importer paying the money, but on the undertaking given by the issuing bank, right? Undertaking given by the issuing bank. Therefore, in this LC, the LC contract or DC contract is between the issuing bank, that is maybe importer's bank usually, and the exporter, right? That is contract. So the exporter is performing absolutely on the assurance of the issuing bank, not on the importer. And also, performance of the exporter is assessed documentally with the right. Physically ported only on the documents submitted that they'll ascertain whether the exporter has done the job or not. Right? And shipped, the shipped. Once you ship the goods, 5th of June, 6th of June, so once he has shipped the goods, it is taken that he has performed, done the job. Now he is not responsible to see whether the ship comes safely to Colombo. That is beyond his control. No, he has loaded the ship. Ship එක මගදී හැපිලා ගිනි ගත්තා නම් ලීක් එකක් ඇවිල්ලා මොනවාරි ගිනි ගත්තා නම් ඒක එක්ස්පෝර්ට් එකේ රෙස්පොන්ස් නෙවෙයි. It's beyond his control. නැත්නම් මේ මගදීනක කැප්ටන්ට ආස වෙලා ඒ ෂිප් එක නවත්තලා පොඩ හොලිඩේ එකක් දාලා දවස් තුනකට පස්සේ ආපහු ෂිප් එක පටන් ගන්න කොළඹට ගියා නම් ඒක delay වුණා නම් it's not his fault. It's beyond his control. Arrival date in Colombo is unpredictable and not the responsibility of the, only have ETA, estimated arrival date. Got it? So that you can't put the blame on the exporter. He has done it, he has shipped it. Make යනකොට මුඛ්‍යරි ගල් වල හැපෙනවාද ඉන්දියාවල නැත්නම් කොහේ කටාර වල හරි කොහේ මොකක් වුණත් you can't hold the exporter responsible. It's not fair. Therefore, his responsibility finishes. He has done his performance once he has shipped the goods, right? In this, right? For the moment, that is good enough for you to understand. Then, when the BL comes, it's known that he has done it. Okay? So, friends, this is basically the what an LC is. Now, in the next session, now after this break, we'll have a break now. And what we will do is, we will do types of letter. It's not, I don't have to go in very detail, right? Okay. But basically, customer says, I want a revolving credit, I want a credit clause credit, I want a standby credit. Those are the names. You must basically understand, especially types of LCs like transferable letter of credit, then back-to-back LC. You all have heard these words. What is the meaning of these? You all need to know, right? So, which I will explain clearly and briefly. No need for you to go too detailed. So, let's break up now and start at 10:30. Okay. Now, I finished this now. This is document credit definition. Now we came to this, and we went down to the next slide and explain all this to you. Now we have different types of. Now, can you see collection? In the collection, basically, until the goods come to, not the goods, the documents come to the importer's bank, and even without any responsibility of the importer, it comes to the bank, and at this point only the exporter will realize whether he's getting the money or not. If the importer does not accept it, he doesn't get it. Until such time, he does all this at a risk. But when he's given a documented credit, before he could start, the bank, issuing bank is giving him undertaking. You saw the difference. How secured document credit is. Right. Now, next we go on to types of letters of credit. Okay. Now, by the list, you don't have to worry about the list so much, right? But technically, you don't have to go too much detail into all this, excepting the last two, where is a common thing which is always banks come across, and I'll explain that a little more in detail. For others, don't worry, it's not such a difficult thing to understand. Okay, now let's start. Irrevocable documented credit. What it means is, right, basically, say there's a car importer from Sri Lanka importing cars. He's importing from Japan, and that person is manufacturing cars and buses and whatever vehicles. Now he gets his bank to issue an LC saying, or do you see, I told you, saying please ship to me 10 green cars, green colored cars with alloy wheels and factory fitted with the AC fitted, setup fitted and all that, right? Say each car is about $5,000, so 10 cars will be 50,000 rupees. Yes, for example, right? Now he has got the order, he got the LC, he's very happy. So he stayed at home, and now that he got the LC from the bank, he has started manufacturing. What is he manufacturing? 10 green cars with alloy wheels and AC and with the setup. He got the order on the, say, 6th of June, and he's given time till end of August to do the shipment. Manufacturing all that, he's given end of August. Now, by the, say, in mid of July, the importer feels that cars are not such a good item. Okay. So he sees that it's very expensive to run cars. People are not buying. Now people want more to travel, more people travel in a vehicle. So he sees there are more demand for vans, passenger vans. And maybe the almost same price will say, okay, maybe small variation he willing to pay. You say. So he, in the mid of July, he wants to make a change. He wants to tell the exporter, look here, I have given you time till end of August to ship. Now, July 15th, I am telling you that I want you to ship me 10 vans, 10 passenger vans. Right? Suddenly on July 15th, if the exporter gets a message like that, all conditions remain same in the LC we issued, except that the merchandise that you should ship is 10 vans instead of 10 cars. Now he looks around and sees, oh my God, he has already manufactured 3 cars, right? Then another 4 cars are in work in progress. Part of the body done and work is going on 4 cars. 3 cars completed. 4 and 3, 7. The other 3 cars, he has bought the material, engines are all bought, not yet started. Now, if he gets things like that, right? And the LC also says that if the car is $5,000 and according to the quotation we got, we just found out your prices, we saw your van is $7,000. Yes, we are willing to pay $7,000. We are willing to increase LC to 70,000, right? Because your van is $7,000. We are willing. So please ship us 10 vans. Now see the plight of the exporter. He has bought all the raw materials, bought the engines, car engines, everything is done. And suddenly this guy is asking for vans. He's changing the condition of the LC. Right. So that's going to put him in a spot. What is going to be the cost that is already done? 3 finished, 4 in work in progress, 3 goods have been bought. Now he has to buy again items to do the vans. So because of that, it is very important that when an LC is issued, right, by a bank to the beneficiary, okay, the exporter, the terms and conditions of that LC that was originally issued cannot be changed. Whatever conditions you put in the original LC and send it to the exporter is irrevocable. Irrevocable means what? Apo reverse කරන්න බෑ. Change කරන්න බෑ. Original එක කියපු දේ කිව්වමයි. පස්සේ ගිහලා vans ඕනේ කියලා මුත් කියන්න බෑ. So it's irrevocable, right? So when the exporter gets it, an LC, he can go ahead and perform whatever changes to the LC that are made later. Changes කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් the word පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ amendments. හරිද? Whatever amendments that the LC has no impact on the original LC. Right? He is not, exporter is not bound by any amendments done after the LC has been issued. Right? Because an LC when issued, whether it says or not, it is an irrevocable documentary credit or irrevocable LC. Changes cannot be done. Unless, say for example, today is June 5th. The exporter got the order, 10 green cars. And he thinks, okay, I'll start work on it. I have till time to August. I'll go for a holiday to Australia, spend some time in Sydney and come back. And then he comes back after about 10 days, and now it is June 30th. Only 20 days since he opened the LC, since he got the LC. And he gets an amendment. Please ship me 7 vans. Now he has not bought any raw materials, he has not done anything so far. But the vans is 7,000. So he has a bigger profit margin. So if he decides, if he likes, exporter kamathina vitarai, he can say, okay, I am accepting your amendment. And he can change it to vans. But he is not obliged, he is not forced to change the condition. An amendment to an LC will be okay only if the beneficial exporter is accepting it. Right? Now you can see here, without the consent of the issuing bank, right? And the confirming bank can product void and the beneficiary. First, I'll tell you what a confirming bank is, then only you can know why this part comes there. When a bank confirms, they are also part of it. Right? So, an issuing bank cannot, customer can't come to the issuing bank and tell change. If the issuing bank changes, only if the issuing bank likes, it can send a message to the, it's not obliged to send. No, I can't. The issue may the bank that issue this the customer, no, customer can't do anything. Hurry. Issue may correct you. Beneficiary. Forget about the confirming bank, right? I'll tell you later. Right. Into the issue bank, so it did. They send the message to the exporter. Now, issuing bank can do nothing. Exporter will say, no. Issuing bank, but I don't mind what the issuing bank can send. I don't agree because I have already purchased the item, I already promised to buy and all that. So, therefore, an amendment basically will be okay under an LC only if the beneficiary accepts. Right? So, and therefore, what you are saying is, what the rule of thumb is, if you issue a document credit, it is irrevocable and can be changed only if the beneficiary is agreeable and the beneficiary agreeable, right? So that is what you call irrevocable credit. Now one we have finished. Then we come to irrevocable documentary credit, right? Actually, what is this? I'll explain. What this means is, now you saw the LC now here. Importer's bank, issuing bank, then goes to the Advising bank, advises the exporter, right? Exporter ships the goods and all. Now, we'll say this is Sri Lanka, this part, right? Issuing bank, and this is Japan, right? Now, this Japanese exporter, they agree with the importer, exporter, they agree, we will work on LC terms, right? So, the exporter is asking the importer, what is the bank you're trying to do from Sri Lanka? You say ABC bank. Sri Lanka is very right, somewhere in India, okay. So the exporter Japanese, he doesn't know, right? Banks might know, but he doesn't. He knows about only vehicles. But he's saying, okay, LC is okay, but the problem is this: no, your country Sri Lanka, you don't know anything about it. I can hear that there is COVID, then there's some ship is sinking, all that. I know all that. I know, right? But I'm not sure of your country, right? Then what is the bank you said? ABC Bank. ABC Bank, I have not heard of that bank. I don't know. So now I don't know your country, I don't know your bank, I only know about the COVID and shipping thinking. That's all he has heard also, right? I'm very sorry. I'm not very happy with the country, neither the bank. Although we are going to work on this. So exporter says, you see, I am a person who does vehicles, no, right? I don't know anything about these countries. I don't know about country standards and a country risk and country bank risk. I don't know anything about that, right? If you can speak to my bank, this is bank is HSBC. Tell HSBC, he tells the exporter, he tells the importer, you tell your bank, ABC Bank in Sri Lanka, to speak to our bank, HSBC, right? And say that they are giving a guarantee to me, ABC Bank is giving a guarantee to me, right? Okay. But that I am not very happy because of the country. He is ignorant of the country and he is ignorant of the bank. He is only submerged in vehicles. All around, the Japanese guy knows only about vehicles. He doesn't know anything else, right? But he knows his bank, his country knows, he knows. Tell your bank to tell our bank that your bank is giving a guarantee to me that under any circumstance, if your bank does not pay me due to maybe the bank's inability to pay, I told you, bank risk, right? Or country risk. So see, country something can happen, country risk can be country risk. We need country risk, bank risk, so all that I'm not going to tell them. They may know better that for HSBC to guarantee that if the ABC Bank of Sri Lanka, Colombo, Sri Lanka does not pay the exporter, HSBC will pay, right? So then the ABC Bank approaches HSBC, came in and my customer is dealing with your customer by LC terms, and that guy is not willing to accept my LC, saying that he doesn't know our country, he doesn't know our bank. I don't know how to explain to him. He's a car man, no. He only knows cars. All around, only cars he knows. He doesn't know what is outside that, right? Outside Japan, he doesn't know anything. So can you tell him, convince him that to accept our LC, that if we don't pay, that you will guarantee. Who is saying? ABC Bank is telling the HSBC Bank. The HSBC Bank calls the, I hear that you're getting a bank LC from Sri Lanka, HSBC Bank. Yes, I don't know what is this bank. He said, no, what are you talking? We also, HSBC is saying, we also have a branch in Colombo. My God, Sri Lanka is fantastic. But it's the hub place for activity. And ABC Bank, by the name, you know, ABC, first, second, third, is a top bank, right? ABC Bank is top bank in Sri Lanka. What are you talking? Anyway, what's your concern? You're worried now that ABC Bank will not pay due to the bank not being able to pay or the country from problem? No, don't worry. We know about Sri Lanka very well. We know about ABC Bank very well. You don't have to worry. If ABC Bank, you perform, send the documents to ABC Bank, and under that LC that they give, the undertaking they have given you, if they don't pay, then we will guarantee to pay. Who is saying? HSBC Bank, right? So now what is HSBC Bank doing? HSBC Bank is guaranteeing, counter guaranteeing, putting another additional joining in the guarantee of ABC Bank Sri Lanka. So now what does the exporter have? Exporter has two guarantees. One is he can try with the ABC Bank. If they don't pay, then HSBC has to pay. Right? It's a double guarantee. Of course, costs will get involved in that. I will not go into detail of that. So when an exporter is not very happy or not knowledgeable, in most cases not knowledgeable, right? About the importer's country or importer's bank, then he will say, I want one of our banks to guarantee your bank's LC. Right? Okay. Now, when another bank guarantees another bank's LC, the ABC Bank's LC is guaranteed by HSBC. So, exporter says, it will be getting the LC advised by everything. This is an LC issued by ABC Bank Sri Lanka. We additionally guarantee this LC that in case ABC Bank Sri Lanka does not pay you, then we will pay you. That is what it will say. So what is HSBC doing? Adding another guarantee. So for that we call adding confirmation. You know, some big companies worldwide, I know, right? They are not, even if it's a AAA rated, AAA plus plus, whatever you can give, they will not go for any confirmation on outside. They want LCs, but not outside. They want confirmation. Example I can give you, I was working for HSBC in Saudi Arabia, and there's a company called Sabica. It's a partly government thing. They're the biggest exporter of petroleum products like plastics and all these things, HDP, LDP and all. They are the ones who export massive. They are, whoever your bank may be, right? Even the World Bank maybe, they don't care. They say, we want an LC. Say Sri Lanka, you want our products, you want petroleum products, right? You open an LC through your bank. We want an LC, but that LC should be confirmed by a bank in Saudi Arabia. Whatever bank you're saying, their policy. Their policy is such that whatever bank may open an LC, that LC must be confirmed by one of their banks in their country, in Saudi Arabia. HSBC or it was not Saudi British, then Citibank, whatever, right? So that's the policy. They want LC, but they want confirmed LC. That is confirmed LC that is additionally guaranteed by a bank in their country, right? So that is how what you call it. So LC is irrevocable, but now it is irrevocable and confirmed, right? And double guarantee. So we have done two parts of the LC. One we did, then out of the list we had, irrevocable we have done, confirm LC we have done. Now let us go to the next one. Okay, we have finished these two. Right? Now what is a revolving document credit? Okay. Now see, in this case, revolving document credit means, right, the importer will say he's importing some raw material from a company, from a country, Sri Lanka will say, right, and we say some petroleum like plastic or something, right, plastic pellets importing from Saudi Arabia, right. So he is manufacturing and he needs. Now he opens an LC for $100,000. Okay, then bank issues, all done, all done. Normally what happens? They will ship, submit the documents, right? Then comes here, issuing bank pays, finish. Then when he wants another $100,000, he opens another LC. LC goes there, goes to bank advises, and then goes. Shipment done, payment got, everything finished, right? Then another LC. Now when he go on this, now he needs LCs, he needs $100,000 worth of raw material every month. Now it's a big cumbersome thing. No? He had to, his directors have to sign an LC, right? Then they have to, every month the directors, sometimes the directors might not be in Sri Lanka, right? They might have gone abroad. So what they do is, they agree with this guy and say, you keep my friend, I will issue an LC for you, worth for $1.2 million. That is $100,000 every month. I want you to ship $100,000 worth of items. 12 shipments. Because he needs 100,000, right? 12 shipments. Okay. Just because he opens an LC for $1.2 million, he can't ship the whole $1.2 million at once, because what will happen is maybe his warehouse and whatever facility has maybe to store about $300,000 worth of material, but he won't have 1.2 million. So he'll say, I'm opening 1.2 million, but not for you to ship 1.2 million at once, but you ship $100,000. I want 12 shipments. So basically what happens is, he opens one LC, 1.2 million, and then depending on how he wants the shipments done, he can use that LC. Say, he says, I want $100,000 worth of raw material per month, right? So what he's saying is, LC he has got for 1.2 million, okay? But it is an LC where he can ship every month, he can ship only $100,000, okay? So that means that LC is revolving. For example, that $1.2 million LC, he ships $100,000 in January, right? Then done, all came, money came finished, right? Now February, he doesn't have to open another LC. He doesn't have to open another LC, right? Because he has opened an LC for $100,000 and told the exporter, this LC, the face value is $100,000. But I want you to use this LC to do 12 shipments every month, right? So therefore, now LC he receives $100,000, but it's valid for 12 shipments of $100,000. So effectively, the LC's value is 1.2 million. But on the face of it, it will show $100,000 and say this is going to revolve totally 12 shipments. This is going to revolve for 12 shipments. That means 1.2 million. So although 100,000, January he ship $100,000. Okay, I won't go to too details on this, just but for you to understand. So $100,000 comes here, it goes here, goes there, and what happens? Now February has come. February, because it's a revolving LC, February, he doesn't have to open another $100,000. He has already opened revolving LC. So then that LC he'll use for another $100,000, right? Then March, another $100,000. Now that one LC open for $100,000 says it is revolving for 12 shipments, right? So 1.2 million. Revolving LC for 12 shipments of $100,000. So then March, then April. He'll go on like that. He can do 12 shipments monthly, right? To cover 1 year shipment, $1.2 million. So it's easy for him because he doesn't have to go on opening LCs for every month. So he opens one revolving $100,000 revolving LC is open, but revolving for totally that shipments can be done in that LC is 12 shipments. So until 12 shipments, he doesn't have to open any LC, right? Now, see, I told it revolving every month. So when it revolves by every month, he's giving a specific time now. Every month. The time is every month, right? So for that type of revolving, you say revolving by time. Gives a specific time when the shipment should be done. Revolving by time. Okay. But also sometimes what happens is the importer wants $100,000 only a shipment he can afford because he can store only that much. But depends. Say today he has a ship with some goods, let's say some finished goods, and the stock is over by 15 June is over. Now, if he says monthly, he has to wait till July comes for him for the exporter to ship. Because exporter monthly means he can ship between 1st and 31st July. So supposing the exporter ships by 30th July, then problem, right? So he has to wait. So what he does is he cannot predict exactly the time. He will say, no, shipment is 12, but for 12 shipments you can do, but you will do the shipment when I want it. The 12 shipments, right? So what he'll do is he'll do one shipment, right? And then maybe he'll have understanding and say, okay, now man, I don't have a stock, can you send me? That's my shipping June 30th, another one. Then July 4th, another one. Right? July 27th. Not specific time. He tells him and does, right? Now, in a thing like that, right? That is unless if he trusts him very much, really do a thing like that. Because he cannot predict when he needs a good. So he arranges, my stores is only for $100,000. So don't send me altogether, no problem. I will tell you when to send. Actually, he doesn't have to wait. If he says 12 shipments and doesn't give a time, he can send 12 different shipments, one today, tomorrow, day after, and within 12 days finish all shipments. But the understanding that he also understands that no point sending all that, he cannot accommodate those, and so they can understand. Then here I can't give time, revolve by time. I can't give. Whenever I send you a message, you send it to me. They understand it. So it you can say that way also, not revolving by time, but revolving by shipment. You say okay, 12 shipments. It doesn't have to be monthly. It will all depend on what the importer says. But remember, he doesn't have to wait for the importer to tell him. Once you say 12 shipments and you don't specify a schedule, like every month, he has the option of ensuring that he does 12 shipments. It can be 1st of June, 4th of June, 8th of June, anyway he wants. But that doesn't normally happen. It's after the understanding, but he understands what his needs are. So he has got a confirmation of 12 shipments. Yes, I will do it for up to 1 year. He has opened the validity of the LC 1 year, but he will wait for his confirmation as and when he requires his shipping, because he cannot give a specific date, right? So that is revolving by time and revolving by shipment, right? Then now the other one is, say now you have given a shipment revolving by time, like January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Now he does the shipment in January, but February also he does a shipment, right? March also he does a shipment. But then April children's holidays, he goes to Disneyland, takes his family and he goes. And he comes back in May, right? Now in May, he has not done the April shipment. He has not done the April shipment, right? So, the understanding what the exporter will have, can he ship the May shipment together with the April shipment? The April shipment is not shipped. Understand? He has not shipped it. Okay. The exporter is gone. He went on holiday and came. He's thinking, oh, I went on holiday to Disneyland, right? So now I could not send the shipment April, no. So what the importer had done is he may have borrowed from locally and managed. But exporter was not there. He had gone to Disneyland, gone on holiday, and now he wanted he can send the April and May shipment. Can he do that? May shipment plus the April shipment to be sent in May. Can it be done that? Can that be done? Right. It all depends. If the revolving LC says, has a word called cumulative, right? If it says the LC is cumulative, that means it can accumulate, right? What cumulative means, you can accumulate like echo කරන්න Now, April shipment එක holiday එක ගිහලා කරේ නැහැ. May මාසේ ඒ දෙකම කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? It all depends. LC එක cumulative නම් Cumulative means එකතු කරන්න පුළුවන්. Then if you accumulate, if it's cumulative LC, the original, the revolving LC will say, this LC is revolving, this LC is cumulative. එහෙම කිව්වා නම් then the exporter can add the April shipment to the May shipment and do 2 shipments in May. It's allowed. But if the condition of the LC says that this LC is non-cumulative Q1, then of course there is a little problem, right? That means if the exporter misses one shipment, okay, if the exporter misses one shipment, he cannot add that to the April missed is missed. He can do May, June, July, August, September, right? But not add it because LC says non-cumulative, right? So the revolving LC can be by time, okay, be by shipment, can be cumulative, can be non-cumulative, right? The other one is a bit on the maybe credit also, you can think about it. Now, we said this LC, normally when you open a revolving LC, once he has done, we said 100,000, once he has done $100,000, and once you say monthly, then he should be able to ship January, February, March, April, May, elect without waiting for any consent from him. Sorry, he should be able to ship without any consent from him. He should be shipping. He should be shipping. But if it is a normal revolving LC, and if the bank, okay, he is not part of it, monkey money, LC contract in issuing bank, issuing bank has told the exporter, make a revolving LC, $100,000, 12 shipments, total value $1.2 million. හැම මාසෙම every month වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මෙයා ජනවරි shipment එක කරාට පස්සේ මෙයාට පුළුවන් February shipment එක කරන්න. එතකොට මාර්ච් එක. He doesn't, but there are certain revolving LCs, actually it's not the correct context of revolving. හරිද? මොකද ඒක දාන්න, this is a revolve, the condition is read like this. This is a condition, this is a revolving LC for $100,000, revolving total shipments 12, making it $1.2 million every month. That is enough for the exporter to do every month. However, every shipment for the month, you cannot do it until the issuing bank sends you a message and tells to go ahead. Okay, then February කරන්න උනාට. එතකොට මාර්ච් වල message එකක් ආවනවා. දැන් ඔයාලට මාර්ච් එක කරන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයාට එක්ස්පෝර්ටර්ට මේක revolving කියලා කිව්වට මේ issuing bank එකෙන් message එකක් මාසෙන් මාසෙ ආවේ නැත්තම් මෙයාට ship කරන්න බෑ. So this is a restrictive revolving LC. He's revolving, but he can't freely ship every month. He has to wait for the message from the issuing bank. Technically, if you get a situation like this, it is not appropriate, it's not revolving. He doesn't get the benefit. It's like opening another LC, right? And asking him. So what it happens, in practice it happens, right? You get, it waits for the confirmation. Now say if you're a facility officer, manager. Now $100,000 LCF arena quota, revolving 12 times now, 1.2 million. මාසෙකට 100,000. එතකොට මේකේ මොකක්ද තේරුම? Exporter can ship $100,000 in January and he doesn't have to wait for another LC. He can in February ship another 100,000. Ship March, ship another 100,000. So if the say January bill importer gave me that, issuing bank can't stop him shipping the February. Undertaking dunani first thing. Then February bill මෙයා ගෙව්වේ නැත්නම් දැන් මේ පැත්තෙන් මෙයා ගෙවන්න. ඉතින් liability bad loans එනවා 100 200. March ගෙවනවා 300. But the issuing bank can't stay without paying. Revolving LC. මොකද කියලා දෙන්නේ? එතකොට එහෙම proposal එකක් ආවනම් then you must consider marking the customer's limit. Is it for $100,000 or is it for 1.2 million? Because if he doesn't pay for the 12 shipments, you can't stop the exporter from exporting, right? So your exposure to the exporter will be 1.2 million. Understand? Because revolving monthly. Happy. Name clause is dal tibbana. It's revolving 1.2 million තමයි. හැබැයි every month එකට අපිට එන්න ඕනේ අපෙන් එන්න ඕනේ message එකක් කරන්න කියලා. නැත්නම් වැඩ කරන්න බෑ. So January message shipment එක ආවා. February වලට යවුවොත් what you understand is if he pays you will send the message. එමයි agreement එක දාලා තියෙන්නේ. Revolving දාන්නම් but if the importer does not pay I will not send that. කියලා මෙයා agreement එක. So January shipment එක ආවා. මෙයා ගෙව්වේ නෑ. So you don't send the message. එතකොට exporter ship කරන්න බෑ. So liability gets restricted to 100,000. හරිද? එහෙමනම් you'll open the revolving LC. You can take a chance which is not appropriate, right? If you say revolving, you must be able to assess the customer for the full value. You're not opening to stop him, no. Haridu. Customer says, I want revolving, you must be see whether he's good for 1 million. But in a certain case, right, you can open the LC for 100,000 and book the liability for 100,000 because if he doesn't pay, you're not going to send that message, right? So that doesn't, it's not a correct practice really, but it's happening. So the customer, what you do is you book 100,000 liability because even though it's revolving, you're not going to allow the exporter to freely ship. He has to wait for your okay, right? But my perception is that if a customer comes to say 100,000 every month, you have to assess his operations and see whether he's a person has a capacity to manufacture or sell or whatever for 1 year. Not just think, kamak ne 12 months damu given නැතම ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ නේ අපි message එක ගවන්නේ නැහැ නේ. ඒකනේ 100,000 damu. No, that's not the correct approach. If he's saying 12 months, then you have to see, do a study and assess whether he's a man who has an operation, whether it is production or whether selling or whatever, for a capacity of 1 year to going on a monthly basis. You must not take the thought that අපි LC හරි 1.2 million කමක් නැහැ. අපි කිව්වොත් ඒකට එයාට export දාන්න පුළුවන්. That is not a good approach, right? So if a customer is trainer, you must assess the customer. But you can book. Sometimes it happens. You book 1 lakh, and once he pays, again you increase the liability. Send the message, increase the liability by another 1 lakh. Then again send the message, another 1 lakh. So you are restricting the shipments to 100,000. Understand? Okay. Now, one minute, please. Okay. Right. Now I'm going to the Going to the next. This is the revolving. So I told you what revolving LC is. I told you what is, how the face value is 100. how the face value is, right? And what is cumulative, non-cumulative. Then I told you about automatic. So when you say that the LC can go, the exporter right to go from 100 to 200, 300 without getting the consent from from the issuing bank, that is what you call automatic. If you have to send a message, then you call non-automatic. Cumulative, non-cumulative. Time, number of shipments. So it can revolve by time or by number of shipments. Or it can revolve with cumulative, non-cumulative. Or it can be automatic, non-automatic. So that's, I think, sufficient for you to know what a revolving LC is. Okay. Then now we are done revolving. Now we have got red clause, standby, transferable, back to back. Once I finish that, I will be going on to Incoterms. I'll explain what that is. Incoterms basically is really technical, but you don't have to have a deep knowledge of that. But you should know what it is. I'll explain that later. Now let us go to the next one. Red clause document. This is not a very difficult thing. Red clause. Okay. Right. Now here, let us see what red clause is. I'll tell you just an example. Now, for example, say there is a guy from Saudi. He has come to Sri Lanka for a holiday and he's going to Nuwara. In Nuwara, he finds a superb, very nice handicraft manufacturer. Manufacturing handicraft, right? So, now he tells the handicraft man, oh my God, your handicraft very nice. I am from Saudi Arabia. I want to buy this. Okay. I want shipment of about $100,000 a month. Can you produce and send me? The exporter in Nuwara will say, yes, I can send it to you, but you know, I will use all my money to manufacture. I have to manufacture, I send you all the money I use. Now, he said, no, I will go and open an LC for you. Payment guaranteed, not by me, by my bank. My bank is HSBC in Saudi, right? Okay, what's your bank? You might say, my bank is, say, People's Bank, Sri Lanka, right? All right. Now, he'll say, like, I will go and open an LC. HSBC will give you an undertaking. Okay. But the exporter says, okay, sir. Now, when you send an LC to me, I must manufacture the goods. Okay. Then I have to pack it, put it in boxes, in strong boxes. Then get a lorry from here. Take it all the way to Colombo. Okay. Then unload it. And then wait for a ship. And put it on the ship. All these expenses I can't meet. And I don't know to go to Colombo. All that is big problem for me. I can do it, but I can't afford all the expenses. You just buy from me at the price I'm giving here. Right? He says, don't worry, my friend. Your handicrafts are very good. What are you asking? You are saying that you have money to manufacture goods, but you don't have money to do the packing, go to Colombo, pay the lorries, and all that. You don't have money. That's what you're saying, no? Right, yes. Don't worry. I will go and do something for you. Like, and so the guy goes back. And goes and tells the bank, same way, to issue an LC. So, right. Then what happens is, now he goes and tells the HDFC bank, to issue an LC to the Sri Lankan guy. But here this is a small difference. The difference is normally under an LC, he has to ship, send the documents here, and then get the money. Okay. But now he has a problem now. He can't take this. He can't take this. He doesn't have money to pack and take it to Colombo now to load it. So because of that, in this LC that he is issuing, he will say, he will put a clause and tell his bank, advise this LC to the exporter, this is People's Bank, advise this LC to the exporter, right? But at the same time, tell him of the $100,000 LC that I am issuing to the exporter, you give him an advance of 10%, $10,000. This should be sufficient for him to do the packing and come to Colombo. Understand? So what he does is, now the LC, unlike normal LC where he has to ship the goods and get the money. No, in this type of LC, with the LC being advised to him, he has a right to draw about $10,000 from the LC before making the shipment. So what he does, he comes to the bank and he gives a small letter, give an assurance saying that, well, I'm taking this $10,000 as advance. Though I have not done the shipment, I am taking an advance of $10,000 just to facilitate me to do the, shipment by way of meeting the costs of my packing and transport to Colombo and all that. However, I give the undertaking that once I am taking the advance, I will do the shipment according to the LC before the date mentioned or by the date mentioned. So he gives undertaking and takes $10,000. Right? He takes $10,000. Okay. That's how it works. Patient takes $10,000. Now see what happens. He got an advance to do the shipment against the amount due to him, $100,000. Before doing the shipment, how the guy is so much in need of the goods, he gives him an advance of $10,000. Right? Gives him $10,000. So what is happening in this case? Here he is getting an advance. He is getting something before shipment. He is getting a small sum. Right? These things, these LCs do happen. Sometimes, like if it's the seller's market and the buyer very badly needs the goods, he may be willing to do that. So therefore, those days, so on the when you issue a red clause letter of credit, you have a clause saying, although LC is $100,000 for shipment, he can draw, maybe depending on the percentage, okay, 10%, we'll say, of the LC to facilitate his whatever packing, whatever. But please take a letter of undertaking from him that he will do the shipment. Then of course we'll pay the balance 90,000. Okay, so if the bank might pay the 10,000, then claim it from the issuing bank, or claim it later on with the total amount of 100,000. That depends, right? So when an LC gives an advance to the exporter to get an advance to do facilitate packing or whatever, then that is what we call a red clause credit, where an exporter gets an advance. Now those days you get a typewriter only in black and red. Okay. So therefore, no, not like our computer now. All the colors we have, no, right? Since it is not a common clause, it's not a common thing for all importers who are opening LCs to give the export advance. It's not the common thing, right? So because it's not a common thing, since it's a special item, that clause was typed in red. Therefore, that type of LC is called red clause credit. You don't know. I know you won't know because not my time talking, right? Even my type when I was bank clerk and we are typists, we have only two ribbons, red and black. So since the special clause is typed in red, where the exporter gets a small advance. So that type of letter of credit is known as red clause letter of credit. Okay. So now we'll read this, we'll understand what I say. I'll give you the crux of it. Okay, let us go to the next one. This is, when I say standby letter of credit, what it means is, you remember open account? You all remember open account, right? I hope you all remember. In that case, what happens? Exporter ships the goods. Okay. Ships the goods. Now, the standby LC, you'll see, can be used for so many other things, but I'll explain it in one item like this, right? How? Let me get a slide that I can go to show it. We'll take this slide. The one instance where a standby LC will come in, right? Now, exporter ships the goods, contract signed, ships the goods, then importer will go and pay the money, and then money comes here, and then. So, the risk that the exporter runs is he ships the goods and does not get the money. Now, in this scenario, the importer says, look here, my friend, if I have to go to the bank every time I want to import from you, I have to go and open an LC. My directors have to sign, right? I have the sometimes directors are overseas. Then urgent, if I need to open an LC, get items, I cannot get that, right? And it's cumbersome thing, right? It's a big cumbersome thing, documentation, all this. Let us do open account, because immediately you ship, you send me the goods, and you know the voyage time. For example, it says from India to Sri Lanka within 4 days, 3 days, shipments are coming, right? 4 days. And by the time you do LCs and the bank checks the documents, and then it's big hassle, right? So why don't we do open account? The exporter says, right, open account, okay, we have been doing, I know we have been doing all this while, but I know what is open account, a lot of people are doing open accounts, but I used to like to do open account, but the thing is this, I am not very sure of you, know. I am still not very sure of you. So to do open account, it's a bit difficult. We say, they have already started doing collections, right? Collection comes to bank, he pays on. But they want to open account. So then what is it? Exporter, I will help you one way. Let us do on open account basis. I send you the goods, you make the payment. Now, you tell your bank, exporter is telling you, you tell your bank, to issue me an LC. Issue me an LC such a way that I will do the open account transaction with you, But the bank should open an LC like a guarantee. Give me a guarantee saying that if I send you goods and if you fail to pay me, right? If you fail to pay me, then this issuing bank has given me a guarantee, a stand, what you call, by way of an LC has given a guarantee. So that is what you call standby LC, right? By way of a standby LC. Okay, so the day that you don't pay me, I will claim from the bank the amount that you have owe me. So what they do is they continue doing this open account transactions, right? They continue doing open account transactions. But one day that the importer does not send the money, he does not send the money, the importer's bank has given him a guarantee, He said, you continue doing open account with my customer, no problem. But any day he doesn't pay you, you can claim on this guarantee. So this is a LC where goods are not involved as such. Normal LC, you have to ship goods, then you claim. But here is not that. He ships the goods and sends the document direct, nothing to do with LC, right? But here only the standby LC is like a payment guarantee. The LC relates to a payment. If the importer fails to pay, then I'll pay. Not whether he ship goods or not, right? That is between them. So then, so what happens is this LC is like is standing by. You get in matches, you get these people coming in and then reserve, stand by side line. Some player is injured, they walk in, right? Right. So like that, this is a standby. In case the importer does not pay, right? In case the importer does not pay, then the exporter can claim from the importer's bank the money. So that is why it's known as a standby LC. It's not like a normal LC where it comes direct and then you get you ship the goods, then you claim. Not against performance. Actually, shipping the goods is performance, right? You're performing something and then you're claiming. But in standby, what are you doing? Why are you claiming? You're claiming because the importer has not paid. That means the importer has not performed his duty. His duty is what? To make the payment. Why are you claiming? You're claiming because he has not performed his duty. So normally you say a normal LC is against performance, whereas a standby LC is against non-performance. Because the importer has not performed, only you're claiming. So that's why you say standby LC is non-performance and normal LC is against performance, right? Now that should be enough for you on standby LCs. Okay. Then we go to right. Now we come to I finished standby, okay? Right, transferable LCs. This should be very interesting and don't get complicated or confused by this drawing. I'll first brief you all on a case. Say there is a guy who goes from Sri Lanka, he goes to Maldives. Anyway, not now, right? And then in that Maldives, there is a guy who says some cats and says, I need to buy 10 we'll say 10 ACs, like, right? Okay, I'm going to use some unrealistic figures, right? Unrealistic figures. but doesn't matter. We say ACs, right? 10 ACs. Do you have AC? Do you manufacture? The Sri Lankan guy says, oh yes, you want ACs? I can get you very good quality ACs. Yes, what, from Sri Lanka? He said, no, I'm not from Sri Lanka. I have a very good friend, a very good reputed company who manufactures ACs in Singapore. Right? Now, the Sri Lankan is telling the Maldivian, I have got a good supplier of ACs from Singapore. Right? Okay. So, how do you want to do this? He says, my friend in Singapore, Sri Lanka is telling, right? He's a guy, he's goods of high quality. But he doesn't like, of course, advance payment. Maldivian guy is not willing for advance payment. He says he won't go open account, all that. He wants LCs. He'll work only on LCs. Right? So, then the Maldivian asking, so you want me to open an LC to him in Singapore? No. Don't open LC. I'm not talking to you. The Sri Lankan is saying, you open the LC to me. Okay. Now we say 10 ACs, right? So 10 ACs are $10. We'll say $10 an AC. Right? Now don't crack your brain. How did this AC become $10, right? Just assume. Okay. $10 an AC. Okay. And I will arrange for you. But also on the LC, normally when you put details, shipment must be from, say, Hong Kong to Colombo. Okay. Like that. Right now, the Maldivian means he'll want the Maldives, so Sri Lankan. Normally, he would have put in normal LC, he said, if the Sri Lankan is manufacturing, he would have put in LC, shipment must be from Colombo to Maldives. But since these goods are going to come from Singapore, he is saying, your LC, don't say Colombo to Maldives, I'm not going to, I'm not giving, oh, sorry. Oh, man. I hope everything okay. Right? Colombo to Singapore. Please make it Singapore to Maldives, not Colombo to not Colombo to Maldives, but Singapore to Maldives. Okay, that's done. Right. So now this is what happens. Now the Maldivian, right, in Maldives will go to his bank. See, it just goes very simple process, right? What is I know transparency you are hearing from everybody, back you are hearing. But you all actually don't know what the exact meaning of this is, right? But with this, you will definitely understand well. Now, so the Maldivian will open an LC for $100 to his bank. This is say the Bank of Mali, right? Bank of Mali, LC to the Sri Lankan, right? His Sri Lankan guy's bank is People's Bank, okay? And they will say this is parent company and the beneficiary, the exporter, first exporter. So what happens is LC will come to the People's Bank for $100 and they'll advise it to the beneficiary. Say, parent company, here we have an LC from Maldives, Bank of Maldives saying supply 10 ACs at the rate of $10. Shipment from Singapore to Colombo, or can go to Mali. Right. Now, what he wants to do is, he can't perform now. The Sri Lanka not going to perform shipment, and now Singaporean wants an LC now. So he wants to transfer this LC he got from Bank of Mali to his supplier. We'll say, right, Mr. Tim, right, in Singapore. Now he goes to the People's Bank and says, can you transfer this LC to my friend in Singapore? Because he has to ship some ACs to my friend in Maldives. The People's Bank will say, look here, my friend, I can't transfer the LC because if we are to transfer this LC, then Bank of Ceylon, when they are issuing the LC, must clearly mention that the LC is transferable. Right? So, he will inform his Maldivian friend. He said, you know, no, I don't have LCs, I don't have ACs in Sri Lanka. And you know, no, I told you, no, I have to give LC to, please tell your bank to make a LC transferable. So maybe Bank of Ceylon will say in a message, okay, our LC is transferable. Now, People's Bank can transfer it to the Singaporean guy. Why is this? Bank of Ceylon Male has confirmed that their LC is transferable. Otherwise, they can't do it. Unless the LC says transferable, you can't transfer. You can't even have words close to transmissible that this, no, absolute transferable. Nanging under bay. Hurry transferable ke right. Now me Singapore guy is giving him the ACs for $8. AC. Singapore can $10. Then me vikunanne modi kinada $10. So what is the parent count Sri Lanka will tell the People's Bank is, now you have got a LC for $100 no. Now you got the word transferable, click you anything. Bank of Sri Lanka confirm karane male. Transfer karande to the Singapore supplier, Singapore exporter, transfer not $100, only $80. $8 of AC means $10.80. So it transfers. This Standard Chartered Singapore, what is it? Okay, Standard Singapore, you know, LC comes from People's Bank, transfer LC to him, the Singapore. Now, the original person who is supposed to benefit on this was the Sri Lankan, no? So, he is known as first beneficiary. Now, part of that is going to the second beneficiary. Second beneficiary. Okay, that is what you call second beneficiary. Right. Now, when the second beneficiary gets the LC, right, it will clearly say, People's Bank will say, Standard Chartered, me LC ka ape ekak newe, not People's Bank LC, look at it, hondara balanna, man kiyanne, aganna. They won't send the same LC, they'll transfer the LC, part of it in their own letter, not send the, they won't send the LC, I mean, Bank of LC ke hete wanne, make $100 ne, eke wanne, but when they transfer, they say we are transferring an LC of the Bank of Ceylon Male for $80. Please note, this is a LC transferred to you, originally issued by Bank of Ceylon, and we are only the transferring bank. So People's Bank is only the transferring bank. And tell your beneficiary, second beneficiary, in Singapore kana danaganna one, may LC ke undertaking thiyenne, the second beneficiary is performing under the undertaking given by not People's Bank but Bank of Ceylon Male. So he is basing his performance because People's Bank has not issued any LC. They have only just transferred the Bank of Male LC. What is it? So $8. The beneficiary, then they'll inform Mr. Tang what LC transfer. People's Bank has transferred a Bank of Ceylon LC for $80 to you to ship 10 air conditioners. What is it? Then he has got, and he understands that nothing to do with People's Bank. People's Bank is only a transferring bank, but he is going to perform absolutely on the undertaking of the Bank of Ceylon models. What is it? Okay, that's done. He transferred 80. Now, second beneficiary shipment kara. Shipment kara. He does the shipment. Okay. And then submits the document. Okay. He submits the document. Now, the document document and payment now he has documents now. Number 7, document. So the second beneficiary will ship the goods, BL, he'll give to Standard Chartered Singapore. $80. Standard Chartered Singapore will send number 7, number this 7, will send the documents to People's Bank Sri Lanka. How is it? People's Bank Sri Lanka got documents in a quarter. People's Bank will inform parent company. Okay, many documents, invoice $80, tank, invoice issue කරලා tank. ඉතින් මොකද කරන්නේ? එතකොට මෙයා කරනවා what he does is he will give his invoice, parent company invoice for $100 and remove the Singapore tank invoice ගලවනවා. Singapore tank LC ගාලා $80යි නේ. එතකොට දැන් මේ LC ගාලා තියෙන්නේ Bank of Ceylon පෙරරටනේ. So පෙරරට එන Pereira LC open for Pereira, then the invoice should be Pereira's now. And here the LC is $100. So what the bank people can do is take Pereira's $100 invoice and attach it, remove the $80 invoice of the Mr. Tan from Singapore and send the documents to Bank of Ceylon Mali. Number 10. $100 document. Now, $100 LC method in a applicant ke balapamak ne. There is no connection. He might inform, he might have money, he may not have money. Bank might tell me, nothing actually, that is between those two. But the moment he gets the documents for $100, Bank of Ceylon has to make the payment to People's Bank for the benefit of parent company. Once the documents are received, Bank of Ceylon will make the payment of $100 to People's Bank. People's Bank for dollars see in a quarter, right? People's Bank will send $80 knocking on Singapore. $80 යවනවා කාටද? සිංගප්පූර් බැංකුවට. අර බැංකුවේ හම්බෙච්ච $100 වලින් $80 යවනවා සිංගප්පූර් බැංකුවට. Right? And then what they do is Singapore Bank will give the $80 to the Tang. Tang has got his money. That $20 extra, that will be credited to the parent company. Right? So, this transferable LC basically is like a middleman's job. Pereira did not have any ACs. He bought from Singapore and sold to Maldives and made $20. Now, I told you, can remember, now that invoice I told you about, they change here. Now, if he doesn't change the invoice, that the invoice method of $100 invoice change kare first thing, it is tax invoice only for $80. Ek bank house bank house not only that, they will see that the invoice is from Tang and not from we call him Mr. Tang, from Singapore and not from Mr. Pereira, right? And then what can happen? And when you give those documents to the Maldivian, he'll be happy. Bank of Ceylon has to pay only $80. And therefore, also he looks at the invoice, Tang and company Singapore. So this is the people who shipped me. This man in Sri Lanka middle. He will say, this is a good chance. And he'll directly call the Singapore guy. Mr. Tang, I know the Sri Lanka told you, but I bought it from him for $100. But you have been selling it to Sri Lankan for only for $8 for say per AC $8 per AC $8, whereas I paid him $10, and see he has made $20. Why should we make him rich? The Maldivian will say, so I will pay you $9. I benefit $1. You have sold it for $8. You are getting $9. You are getting $1. So we'll keep the Sri Lankan out, and you and I will leave direct. then Sri Lankan gets out. Sri Lanka goes out, right? So because of that, this changing of the invoice is very important. By changing the invoice to 100, he is able to make 20, and not only that, he is able to hide from the applicant who the supply is, because he removed the invoice. Another, Ekak. But when transferring the LC, now see the LC has come to people bank, how the beneficiary is the parent company. Now if they transfer, and who is the applicant is the Maldivian. If they transfer the LC like that direct to Singaporean, Singaporean will see, oh, applicant is Maldives. He will write direct and say, you are opening LC for Sri Lanka, what is the value? And see how much you want. I don't know whom. Sri Lanka told me ship to Maldives, I don't know whom it is going. Right. What we will do is, now that you are send the, they have sent the LC to me with your name as applicant, we too will deal. Next time we too will deal. Right? They'll do that. So, the People's Bank, when they are transferring the LC, in the original LC, Ferransan is the beneficiary, right? And the applicant is the Maldives, right? Now, when they are transferring, they will make applicant's name as Ferransan, sorry, parent company. And the beneficiary exporter will be, beneficiary will be Tang. So, Tang will not know about the Maldives name, right? He will not know Maldives name. Understand? So, by this, you're hiding the second beneficiary from knowing who the original importer is. And by this changing invoices, you're hiding the Maldivian knowing who the supplier is. So that is how transferability works, right? But main crux of the matter for me to do back-to-back LC is you must remember that this transferring of the LC has got nothing to do with People's Bank. If anything happens to Bank of Ceylon or to Maldives, then the payment will be affected to the beneficiary. So, second beneficiary, Tang cannot claim from People's Bank anything because People's Bank was not the issuing bank, but they were only the transferring bank. The issuing bank was Bank of Ceylon Maldives, and therefore, whatever payment performance the second bank Tang base, it is basically on the LC of the Bank of Ceylon, right? Now we'll see what's the difference between this and the back-to-back LC, right? And this article 38, now like I told you, the letters of credit, document credit is also subject to UCP 600. There's a booklet, and there are so many articles in that. 38, article 38 will tell you about what is the rules regarding a transparency. You can change certain items, but like this, you can't. You can't now say these are, when you're transferring, you have to transfer it the same conditions, but only areas where you're allowed to change is the amount of the credit. Instead of sending the full amount, you can bring it down, you can reduce it, right? The expiry date, the period of presentation, later date you can reduce. All can be reduced or curtailed. These all can be reduced or curtailed, right? Okay, so that's what enough for that. Now we'll come to back to back. You can't do more than that, huh? Right? In this one, you can't change the LC other than only in these areas. Other than LC will go fully. Okay. Of course, benefit. You can read the article. It says what you can change and all. The name of the first penny may be substituted that to the applicant. You can see the name of the first penny can maybe substituted that to the applicant. So that article, right? I already explained all the things, right? Now we're going back to back. Now back to back means, okay, here same way Maldives, Sri Lanka. Now in the original transferable LC, applicant importer issued an LC and came to the advising bank, $100, right? Now what did the Sri Lankan guy do? He said, you better transfer it for $8. Now in certain countries, you can't issue transfer LCs, right? You can't issue, they are not allowed. So then comes the story of back-to-back. What is happening is now the Pirra & Sons is going to People's Bank and saying, look here, Mordius is not allowing transferable LCs. Okay, he's not allowing transferable LCs. So now I am getting, see, I am getting $2 from each AC. $100 LCs come. But my Singapore supply wants LCs. He is working only on LCs. Right. Now what do I do? So what he is doing now is, he is not asking People's Bank to transfer. Can't transfer. He's not transferring. He's saying now he's telling the People's Bank manager, can you see? I have got a LC from Bank of Ceylon for $100, right? And I have a sure supplier from Singapore for $8. If I just buy for $8 and give it for $10, I am getting $2. Okay, I make $20, right? So if it's $8,000, you are making $2,000. If it's $800,000, you are making $200,000, right? We make the figure simple. So he's telling the People's Bank, look here, since transfer LCs are not allowed, knowing very well that if my friend from Singapore ships the goods to Mordius, I am going to get $100. I am telling you to issue me an LC to the Singapore supplier for $8. Now People's Bank is a bit careful, because if the People's Bank issues a LC, right, that means the Singapore supplier will be working absolutely on the undertaking of the People's Bank. Not on the, he will not even know about the Mordius, because Mordius is not transferred to Bank of Mordius is not transferred. So how will the Singapore guy know? Now what is happening is, if the People's Bank opens an LC to the Singaporean guy, Singaporean guy ships the goods, okay, and submits documents through his, like, I will not go details, like what you doing for the transfer, what happens, and he goes to that, right? He ships the goods, submit the documents, okay. Yes, now the Pirra & Sons has convinced People's Bank to issue an LC for $80, right? So they issue the LC. Now the Singapore guy is performing mainly on the undertaking of People's Bank Colombo. Also, when People's Bank transfers this, there is no obligation on People's Bank. So it was not a liability to People's Bank. But now they are issuing an LC for $8, which means they are carrying an exposure on Pirra & Company. So they have to understand what securities take. But Pirra says, don't take securities from me, man. Once that shipment goes, I give the $100 invoice, you send it to you keep security. You got a Bank of Ceylon. More deals, you keep that security, right? Once that he sends me the document, $80, I'll change my invoice. You send it to bank, you get $100. You're done. You're through. Your $8 come. So don't take. So once that goes, right, LC goes, the Singaporean will perform only on the under the People's Bank. So when the Singaporean sends the documents here, the People's Bank cannot say that I want to send the documents to Mali and get the money. No, can't. So he doesn't know anything about it, right? The People's Bank has to pay immediately. Then only get the money from the Bank of Ceylon and then pay. Come on. Supposing People's Bank pays it, and due to some reason in Mordius, right? Currency, government regulations, floods or something like that, right? Happens. And if the Bank of Ceylon does not pay People's Bank carries a loss and cannot at all refuse payment to the second beneficiary, right? Because second beneficiary performed on the undertaking of the People's Bank, not of the bank. So if the People's Bank pays, sends the documents to Mordius and does not get the money, right, then it's People's Bank to get it sorted out with their beneficiary, with their parent company, and nothing to do with the. They can't stop, or they should not claim back what they paid from the second beneficiary. So in a back-to-back LC, People's Bank carry an exposure. What they mean is, on the back-to-back means on the backing of the Bank of Ceylon LC, we are expecting $100. please open an LC for open another LC for a supply in Singapore on the backing of this. That is why I call back to back, right? But you have to be little careful in this. But you must understand that the total exposure is for that you may have to study the country of the issuing bank, then you can study the state of the issuing bank, like I told, kind of bank and countries, because you are depending money from this, right? And you must have expertise, people who can check in a bank document when it goes there, and if they find there's something wrong, documents are discrepant, they might refuse payment, right? So it all depends on how you negotiate with Pera. You may say, Pera, no, I can't. Back to back, I'm not sure of the money. Oh, you must say, right, okay, I'll take back to back at 50% risk. You deposit 50%, 80 rupees, no, $80, no, you deposit $40. $40, I'll take a risk for the back to back, okay? But I can't take the full risk, okay? So therefore, 50% of it, $40 you pay, balance $40, I'll take a risk. But exporter, no, now you're getting now. So that all depends on the bank's discretion as a credit analyst or credit officer or credit manager. You have to decide whether I'm going to take the full risk or I'm going to take half the risk. That is dependent on you, right? So they see now the difference is here. People's Bank as a transferring bank has no responsibility, but when you say back to back, the LC People's Bank is issuing another LC, and they're accountable to pay that beneficiary, right? And they're doing that on the backing of this LC. So when you open LC on the backing of another LC, that is what you call back-to-back LC, right? But most customers come for the back-to-back LC because they don't negotiate with the, if it's transferable, you're okay. But certain customers come, they don't even ask their very module. Here you're back-to-back, I can't, can we do transferable? So don't lose opportunities, just explore. If they really transferable cannot be open. Otherwise, you say I can't do back-to-back, they are just losing opportunity. Maybe you have not asked the customer, maybe you have not asked the original person that whether we can do transferable. If you're doing transferable, you can still do the transaction if you don't want to take an exposure. But if you want to take an exposure and you can assess the creditworthiness of this parent company, that's left to you. So it depends. That's a great decision. Okay. So I finished back-to-back now. Then by type of LCs, I've already finished you. Then comes these are all about back-to-back, and you see, I said here, it's a trade edition of the issuing bank, I told you, right? These are trade loans. I put a slide on this, but I just want to have a brief idea. We have various types of loans related to international trade, right? Whether you are doing the payment by advance payment, open account, document, letter rate, you can take facilities for the payment terms, right? So the various loans, trade loans. So for your knowledge, what are the trade loans that we normally have? We have pre-ship. If you are an exporter, if you've got an order from, say you got an order from somewhere, say $100,000, some Saudi guy wants to buy some goods from you, right? You go to the bank and say, I got a HSBC strong LC, which says that I can get $100,000 order, and can you give me a loan? That is before shipping to buy the goods, then ship the goods. So that is what you call pre-shipment no packing credit loan, right? So when you give an exporter a pre-shipment loan, right, that is facilitate him to do the shipment, that is known as a pre-shipment loan. In Sri Lanka, pre-shipment loans, like I told you about dollar loan, how dollar exporters can borrow in dollars and bring down the cost of the goods manufacturing, because interest payment will be less. So pre-shipment, you go to the factory, do assessment, see how it is. One side you're happy with the LC, okay, so the LC, HSBC, you are happy. But then again, you must go and see whether your customer is he capable. Will he give some rubbish goods? Whether can he keep up the standard that request in the LC? All that, then you will assess his capability. Because getting the money from HSBC is only after shipment, no. You get the money. So whether he can ship the goods, whether he's capable of doing the thing. Another thing is, when you give a pre-shipment loan, say the order is for $100,000, that means that is the selling price of the exporter, which means he would have also input his profit margin, right? So because that when a customer comes to you for a $100,000 order for a pre-shipment, you will not give him 100,000. That means your financing is profit as well. So you'll only give him the cost. You say 20% profit means you'll only give him 80%, right? And whether you're taking collateral or whether it's good for his exporter, it's good, he's a reputed exporter, you don't have to take collateral, it all depends, right? So that's what I call pre-shipment loan. Post-shipment loan is the exporter has done his job, right? Actually, we negotiated LCs, I showed you something like that. This is where the exporter wants money. You give a loan pending receiving money from the importer. Sometimes you say he'll give 90 days DA bill, right, to the buyer, right? And then now he can't get money till 90 days. But in the meantime, he has to do work. So what he do is, he'll ask you for a post-shipment loan. He has shipped the goods, and against the pending money, he's asking. So 90 days you can't wait. You discount and give him a loan, and then you will what? You will get the once you get the money, you settle off the loan, right? Then you what called post-shipment loan. Then import loans. These related imports. Say a person imports a car, he cannot car or whatever goods he imports, he doesn't have money to immediately say it's a site LC and the bank has to pay. So what the bank does is, depending all the assessment they have done on the customer, they will pay the buyer, the seller, exporter, the foreign seller immediately, and then book a loan in the importer's name, all import loan. And depending on how long it takes to sell and give the money, maybe 3 months, maybe 120 days, maybe 60 days, depending on his working capital cycle, you will decide the period and give him a loan for that period, say 60 days. You have paid the exporter already, but you are giving a loan to the importer. That is called import loan, right? Pledge loan is where you don't give like import loan. Or import loan you give means you give the beneficiary, you send the money to exporter, and you give the documents to the importer. He goes and clears the goods, and then it's at his control. He sells the goods, and maybe he'll give the money, may not give the money, but that's for you to assess, right? So if you are a bit doubt, what you do is you take the goods, you pay the exporter, take the goods, and usually for manufacturing people, this happens. You send large number of raw materials. He buys large money raw material because it's cheap. When he buys for 2-3 months, he doesn't have money, but he buys, he imports, and he stocks. So they stock it in his warehouse, okay? So that, but he has no access. It's controlled by the bank and him. So when he makes a payment to that amount, you release the goods, right? He can't get the goods straight away. Not like import loan, where goods are within, he's free to send anywhere, sell anywhere, he can do it. But here it's under control. Maybe usually it's in the stores of the importer himself, but locked and all that, dual control. And he, as and when he makes payment, he will release the goods, right, for that amount. In a pledge loan, you are very careful. Insurance, then you must see the stores is very secure, because you might have lock and key, but they might come on the roof and take all the goods. So those sticks has to be there, right? I won't go in detail. But what pledge means, he's pledging the goods and you're giving a loan, and you release goods only when as and when he pays, right? So that's about, I think, here for this. Now I'm going to do this. I'm supposed to do Incoterms. Okay, let me see. Okay, can you see this, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
All right, fine. Okay. Now, we did no payment terms. Now, for God's sake, one thing is, right, you all must not get confused with Incoterms on payment terms, right? Sometimes I am told that there are people who answer questions. You ask about payment methods, they are going and answering about Incoterms. You ask about Incoterms, you can ask about payment methods. So exactly identify what is being asked. Right. What this is about, I'm not going to go much in detail, because it's not that it's a big subject, right? A long subject, but understand the basics. Now we said importer exporter wants to buy and sell, they know how to pay advance payment, we know collection, we know open account, we know document credits, we know irrevocable credit, we know revolving LC, rate cost, transfer better. That's okay. That's finished. But now, say a person who is exporting goods from Noor area right up to Saudi Arabia, right? Okay, right up to Saudi Arabia. What happens in that? He has the goods to sell. He puts the goods on a truck, brings it down to Colombo, right? Puts it, unloads it in the port, loads it into the port, into the ship from the port, and then the ship goes to, we'll say, Jeddah, right? The port, and maybe the buyer is living in Riyadh, which is a landlocked area, right? And from Jeddah port, about another maybe 3,000-4,000 miles, or at least about 1,000 miles, right? It goes to Riyadh, right? That's on land. Now, what is the situation when the exporter in Noor area loads the goods onto his truck in his warehouse, right? And the goods fall with ACs and damage. Okay. We say that is not okay. He brings the goods down, going to Colombo. Now he comes to Kadgan now, right? Kadgan now, the road is slippery, the lorry goes and tumbles over the hill. The goods are damaged, right? Who is responsible for it? Is it the buyer or the seller? Okay, that's why we say road is okay. He comes to Colombo, right? He unloads it from the ship, lorry, right? And loads it into the ship. Now, when he loads it onto the ship, right? You know, where you keep that thing is called the key, right? Or key, you call it, right? The harbor, right? The key, where goods are there, and from the key with the cranes or whatever, they load it onto the ship. But while loading, the ship is not pasted to the key, no, there's a gap, water, right? So supposing by loading, if the crane breaks and the AC falls into the water, who is responsible? Whose risk is it? Whose cost is it? Is it the risk is for the importer or exporter, or is it for the cost is for the importer or the buyer? Okay, ship is going to Saudi, right? Going to Saudi. While going to Saudi, in India, there is a rock and the ship crashes and ship sinks. Now from there onwards, who is responsible? Buyer or the seller, right? Okay, it went, okay, no ship, everything okay, fine, no really gone, candy gone. Now gone to Jeddah. While unloading from Jeddah onto the port, there's a water gap again, the ship is not pasted to the key, the AC falls into the water. Whose risk? Buyer, sellers. Okay, nothing happened. He put it on the lorry and was going to Riyadh, right? Like the elephant crossing we have, elephants, you get camels. He is coming full speed, normal speed is about 100 kilometers, the normal vehicles go there, and to see a whole lot of camels are coming, and the vehicle crashes into the camels. Okay. After crashing into the camels, the AC breaks, all go damaged, yet not gone to Riyadh, right? Now who is responsible? Buyer. I know this, you wouldn't have thought of these things, but these counts in international trade, right? So these are the things that come in terms. Say if you're exporting, and if it requires to get an export license from Sri Lanka export, you get a license. Who is responsible for the license? Who will pay for the cost? Say from the ship, the person has to carry the goods, from Colombo to Jeddah. The ship captain will ask for the money, to carry that to him. Ask who will pay for that. Is the importer or the exporter? Okay. Then when it goes to Jeddah, right? From Jeddah to Riyadh, who will pay the cost? Then you want goods going from here to Jeddah, you want to cover insurance. Who is going to cover insurance? Is it the importer or the exporter? So all these are what is defined in input terms. Now, you think it's very confusing? Don't worry. Every item is related with the other. There are 11 terms. I'll just go through and give you basic idea, right? I can't go detail. You don't need. But only thing you need a basic understanding of what this is. So I'll try to cover that. It's quite interesting, but just let's see. Okay, this is just to show you that in 2002 there were 4, 13, and then 10, 11, and these are the terms, right? Don't worry about what these terms are. I'll go down detail. you get EFW, FCA, FAs, FOB, CPT, CFR, CIP, CIF. These are the 11 terms. So now I have to cover you the 11 terms. But don't worry, man. Every term is connected to the other one, right? You take all these 4 terms, you connect together. These are connected together. You get the E terms, F terms, C terms, and D terms. So if you know this, is a little variation this, little variation this. So there's hardly any time I'll need to finish this, right? So right now I'll start. X work means EX means X works. Free carrier, right? Carriage paid to. Carriage is the cost of like bus fare, right? Carry the goods from one place to another. That is what is called carriage, right? Carriage paid to. Paid to, yeah. TPT, a term like carriage. Then carriage and insurance, right? This carriage means the freight and the insurance paid to. Delivered at place. Delivered at place unloaded, right? New term. And delivered duty paid. Incoterms, then you get this is, you can use this for any transport mode. Now, Srinagar, you think about only the ship. No. You know, say if you got like Dubai to Oman, it can go by truck. From Dubai to Oman, it can go by truck, right? From India to another country, it can go by truck. It can get land, right? And then from Bahrain to Saudi, it can come by truck. So this covers Incoterms all types of transport. This is for all any mode, whether it's sea or ship or whatever, any mode. But these are specifically for only sea and sometimes you get sea, and sometimes you get inland where the goods are brought in from inland water into the sea and into the ship. So for those, right? This you can't use for land. If you're using land, you can't use these. These are only for the Incoterms for the sea and inland water. Similar, you just think it's only for sea, right? Now I'll finish all this. I'll explain to you all these items, right? That's my target. Let me see. Okay. X works means, okay. X works means that the seller, now this actually the main point here to determine on Incoterms is at which point does the risk to the goods transfer from the seller to the buyer. I told you, when a loading in the ship, in the warehouse of the exporter, if the goods fall and break before loading, what happens? Who's responsible? Buyer or seller. Then going down, Kadgana, buyer or seller. All that, and then at which, when the risk is assessed, at which point, these are the ones terms they give. But remember, when these are the terms that determine which point is the correct delivery point. Say the exporter is considered to have delivered the goods at which stage? Is it at his warehouse? Is it in Kandy? Or is it in Colombo? Or is it in Jeddah? Or is it in Riyadh? So depending on the term only, the delivery point that is required to be done by the exporter is ascertained. Once the delivery point is ascertained and he has gone and delivered it at that point, up to that point, from wherever he is taking up to the delivery point, the total risk to the goods are on the exporter. Once he has delivered the goods, right, at that delivery, from there onwards, whatever risk of the goods to the destination is of the importer, right? Okay. Now somebody might think, if I'm taking goods to Kandy, till it goes to Kandy is my responsibility. No, why are they telling it can't be my responsibility? If it's Riyadh, he totally exporter responsibility till it goes to Riyadh. So why are you asking this? Halfway points. I'll show you. I'll tell you why. If the importer-exporter decides to deal on X works Incoterm, what he's saying is that exporter says, I will not do anything. I will manufacture the goods and keep it ready for you in my warehouse. My delivery point to the importer is my warehouse. So, if I keep it ready for him in my warehouse, having very brief, I'm not going to go details, just take a minute to understand. So, from there onwards, the total responsibility passes to the importer. For example, Now, if you say import-export agrees from X works, then the importer from there on, even from that time the importer comes to the exporter's warehouse and touches the goods. Now, say he has bought his lorries and loading, right? And you see, of course, the importer will not bring lorries; he'll bring local lorries, right? Or maybe the exporter's lorries, right? While loading, if the goods fall, the goods fall, then it is a responsibility of the importer, because the determinable delivery point for the exporter in X works is this warehouse. Even loading on the truck in the exporter's warehouse to be taken to Colombo and put to the ship is of the importer, because delivery point is finished at the exporter's warehouse in this term, not in Riyadh. They agreed on that. So anything that the exporter does, right, okay, is finished by keeping the goods ready. This is the most safest term for the exporter, but most difficult term for the importer, because from the time the goods are there in the warehouse of the exporter ready to be taken up by the importer, it is importer's responsibility. He is responsible. I won't talk about the license clearing, export clearance, import, all are done by the importer, right? That's all. That's one term, X works, right? So the most easiest delivery term for the exporter is X works. From then onward, once the deal is done, then onwards all the risk transfers to the importer. Right now, we see this one, X1. You will get better understanding. FCA. This is where, in other than the exporter's warehouse, right? It can be another point. It can be another point, right? It can be another point. For example, usually what happens is, like, instead of going to Colombo, right? The exporter says, no, I can't be to Colombo, but I can be to Kandy. Where Kandy, there is a container terminal which collects all the containers, and from there they take to Colombo. So we'll work on that basis. So the importer agrees for that, right? So in this case, the exporter is you get on the Kandy Road, Colombo Road, you see container terminals, right? You can go and hand over the terminals to, like, Marisara, then on the Kandy Road you get, right? So we assume some terminal. The agreement delivery point for the export is this. We have agreement place. Some terminal is a container terminal somewhere. Doesn't have to be container, it can be anywhere, right? There's somebody there willing to take his goods. So then we'll say if the container terminal is in Kadugan now, then from Nuwara, all the risk of bringing the goods to Kadugan now is for the exporter. Once he has handed over the goods, right? Once he handed over the goods to the Kadugan, whatever container terminal, then all the risk transfers to the importer. But of course, where applicable, the seller must, exporter must enter rolling export license. This varies, right? They are not that important. You can read this. It's just saying who responds export license, who responds for licensing, paying export duty, whatever. But I'm more concentrating to you on the delivery point and the risk. So if you finish Kadugan now and hand it over, right? Then that is the delivery point, and from there onwards, the importer is responsible, right? That is called FCA, right? Then CPT. Right? Now, very small difference here. FC, I told you to container yard at Kadugan now, right? Once the goods are handed over to the terminal at Kadugan now, that is the delivery point, and therefore all risk gets transferred to the importer, like in FCA, same as FCA. But there's one thing here, additional. The exporter has to pay the carriage, the freight, whatever costs from that point, Kadugan now, right up to Riyadh, whatever the carrier, the lorry or vehicle or ship or from their trucks from Jeddah or whatever, all that carriage cost is for the exporter, right? You see that the seller must contract and pay the cost of carriage necessary to bring the goods to the named place of destination, right? Which is assume Riyadh, because example, right? So then he has to pay that. So FCA, that risk and responsibilities are same as FCA, but only thing is difference he pays the freight from Kadugana up to Riyadh, right? That's all. Finish. That article finished, right? Then CIP, same as FCA. You hand it over in Kadugana. Now, please, I hope I'm not trying to confuse you all that if I say CPT, where even if a master you have to bring the goods and hand over to Kadugana, it's not that right, right? If I just now say you don't have to bring the goods to Kadugana and hand over, Kadugana is just taken as a terminal. Please understand that because can be from Nurila I put Kadugana, from just now it may be some other terminal, from Kalam from Matra in other terminal. It depends. It's a container terminal, right? So in this one, same as FCA. He brings and handles over to the terminal, right? Container terminal, whatever it is, right? Plus, he, like the CPT, he pays the freight up to the destination, where the destination resides, the Riyadh. Not only that, here one more additional thing. FCA, CPT, plus another one additional. He covers insurance also. From Kadugana right up to Riyadh. So that is CIP. Okay. So you see, I told interrelated FCA, handover terminal, risk passes on to the importer. No freight is paid, no insurance paid. CPT, he handover, same risk transfers, delivery point is same, risk transfer importer, but he pays the freight, but does not pay the insurance, right? Then CIP, same thing like FCA, he pays the insurance, but here he pays the freight like CPT and pays the insurance. Therefore, he known as CIP, right? Okay, that's it. Now, D, understand, D, all the D terms are delivery point is always in the import side, right? So, not on the exporter side, it's always the importer side, right? So, they might decide that, okay, the delivery place is somewhere in Jeddah, right? A town in Jeddah, right? Somewhere, some 10 kilometers from Jeddah port. Then the delivery point is at Jeddah. So the exporter has more responsibility. He has to take it from Nuwara, go to Colombo, load it on the ship, pay the freight, do whatever, and go to Jeddah, unload it, and take and go and deliver it in that place. They are decided in Jeddah, right? Whatever it may be, maybe 20 kilometers in Jeddah. Up to that, once he goes and gives those goods to that place, right, is what we call delivery. But remember, now from Jeddah, go by trucks now. Once he goes to delivery place, he will not unload the goods. At that point, if while unloading something happens, it is imported. He just goes and says, I bought my goods, I won't unload it, I'm doing DAP, now you have to unload, your responsibility. So delivering, ready for unloading. At the point of destination, whatever place they decide in Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia, right? You see, details are always that side. Then comes DPU, same as DAP, right? But here one additional responsibility is the exporter takes the responsibility, right, to deliver it to him, not like DAP ready for unloading. It's here he has to unloading. That's the difference. DPU and DAP, there it is, he doesn't unload, but here he unloads. So any risk in unloading the goods, if anything breaks, after taking all that way, then it is for the exporter. He should unload and give the goods. Decided place, Nuwara to 25 kilometers from Jeddah, that's the place decided. You take it all that way, take it to Colombo. Anything happens in between Colombo, Jeddah, and the sea, Up to that point, not only that, if anything happens, including while unloading, when anything happens, it is the risk of the exporter. Only after unloading, that is the delivery point, then the risk transfers to the importer, right? Then DDP. This is, like I said, X work is the best for the exporter. DDP is the best for the importer. In the sense that what happens here is the exporter is totally responsible, right, to take the goods, take it to the, say, Riyadh or whatever, right, and he pays all the import costs, import duty, but DAP, the import costs and all, the custom duty is paid by the importer, right? But here in DDP, he takes everything, import clearance, export clearance, import duty, all that. Read, you can see, right? The delivery point is at the, we'll say, Riyadh, in the garden of the exporter, right? In his house, in his house, he goes and delivers the goods, DDP. But one point here, still like the DAP, he doesn't unload. It's not unloading, ready for unloading at the name plate destination. Whereas in DAP, DV, he has to import, has to pay the import cost, taxes, all that. But here nothing he does, excepting it comes straight to his warehouse. Only job the importer has done do is to unload it. So from the once the exporter says, I have brought your goods to your house, your warehouse, and is ready for unloading, his delivery is complete. So if the exporter delivery is complete, then the risk after that of unloading goes on, whatever happens, goes on to the importer, right? So bringing the goods to that point from New Aurelia, passing Kandy, port, Alamut, Jeddah Sea, Jeddah to Riyadh, all is by the exporter. So this is the best term for the even import duty, import license, whatever there is, all you have to do. Best for the importer, right? So I told you all these terms I spoke to just now, it can be used for all types of transport, as in truck or whether in sea or whatever. But when it's sea, it's more appropriate to use these terms, right? So this is a free alongside ship, is a very, very rare thing, right? It normally doesn't, I don't think I come across it at all in my usage. But there is a term like this, where, say, the responsibility of the exporter, his delivery point is, he brings it to a place where they decide, importing decide, to a place where it's like somewhere, I will say, somewhere in the country, somewhere in the port, right, where it is bought alongside the ship. Okay. It does not load the goods onto the ship. No loading. Only brings it up to the alongside the ship. That's all. But not yet loaded on the ship. Only just keeps it along. So it must ensure that when it comes to the ship, along the ship means it should be on a day when the ship has docked into the harbor. You can't be 3 days early when the ship is coming the day after tomorrow. You can't be put it before that. You can't come and put it in the sea, in the port. It must come alongside the ship when the ship is there, right? Then the unloading and loading will be done by the importer. So bringing alongside, that is called FAS. Okay. The next one is FOB, right? This we all hear the very common word, isn't it? FOB, free on board. Here, it's related to port only, right? Like not like CPT and all that, where he pays, he goes, he can give to someone Kandy. No. Here it relates to sea. Like not handing over Kandy or Kaduganna or anything like, right? Here he has to bring it to the port. He has to bring it to the port, right? And ensure that the goods are loaded on board the ship, right? So when the BL is given by the captain also, he makes a notation, shipped on board successfully, right? So till it is properly shipped on board, it is the responsibility of the exporter. Like I said, if while loading on board, the goods fall in between the sea, with the ship and the key, the water, then still the exporter is responsible. He has to ship it on board, and Captain will give a BL saying that shipped on board. Then only after shipping on board and while coming back home, if the ship catches fire, then that is not the responsibility of the exporter. Once it's shipped on board, then the responsibility totally goes to the importer, right? Okay, whether it take about three nautical miles, it just goes from the Colombo port, catches fire, sinks, doesn't matter. He has shipped on board. He has done his job. After that, once it's put on board, then the responsibility passes to the importer. Remember that. Okay. Then comes CFR. Very simple. CFR means same like FOB. He has to bring the goods, load it on the ship, load on board the ship, plus he pays the freight, the carriage, it's the carriage, the freight from say Colombo to the port of destination, right? He must see he can freight necessary to bring the goods to the name port of destination. So he pays the freight from Colombo to Jeddah, right? But once he has put it on board, right? Remember, whether the ship is in going to India on the way, in India it sinks, or just before coming to Jeddah it sinks, or when unloading it, ship goods fall into sea, nothing to do. Once it's on board, CFR same as FOB, where risk and responsibility is concerned, where risk and delivery is concerned, the delivery is done on board, right? And the risk, anything to the goods after that goes to the importer. But in CFR, the exporter will pay the cost of freight from Colombo port to Jeddah port, right? Okay, then what is CIF? Same like CIP, like that, like CIP. Delivery term is same like FOB. He put the goods on board the ship, right? Then he covers the insurance from Colombo to Jeddah, like CFR, plus he takes insurance, right? From Colombo to Jeddah for the goods. Okay, that is because that is for C only. C one it relates to C only, right? Not going to Riyadh, right? So he pays the FOB risk delivery is the same like FOB. For CIF and CFR, both are same. It's like FOB. Once it's on board, all risk transfer to the importer. But in CIF, like CFR, it will pay the freight. Not only that, it will also cover the insurance. Understand? It will cover the insurance from Colombo to Jeddah. That is called CIF, right? So, oops. Now see, when you saw the Incoterms, basically that is the meaning of Incoterms. That is to identify where is the delivery point, where are the risks, when does the risk pass on from the importer to the exporter, at which point, and who is responsible to pay the export license, export duty, if any, and at the time import, what is the import license, if any, or the free port can just unload, and import duty, if there is any, import cost, all that, right? But mainly, the main point we want to understand is where is the what is the delivery point and what is the risk transfer. The moment delivery is done by the exporter, the risk transfers to the importer. Is that clear? I hope I have done a justice to you in these 2 days, of last Sunday, and you all have got awareness of something on international trade. Okay, it's very basic what I did, but I think you all are quite confident to tackle customers who come, because you have a professional trade department, you have got a FI department, they can handle the core part of it, but without losing an opportunity, how to tackle a customer who comes international trade, and this is more than enough. I trust, like I told you when I started, I hope When you started international trade that day on last Sunday and to today, you have sacrificed 2 Sundays, and I trust you believe. I believe that you will. You are convinced that you got some knowledge of international trade. Of course, exam is there, all that is there, but it's not only the exam we are doing. We're doing for our life, our whole job till you retire. Maybe 60 years, 65 years, you retire. You don't need to do in trade. You need to know the bank. Okay, guys, all the very best. Be safe, and God bless you all.